What's up, everybody? Good evening, good Sunday evening to everybody out there in comic land, or comic art land, I should say, especially with this weekend being such a busy art auction weekend. I'm not sure, but I was noticing this afternoon it was going slow. I felt slow. This weekend was the first heritage auction that I actually followed live, at least for a little while. In several months, I kind of ignored the last few, and it just felt like it took a long time. I was like, wow, it's taking a long time. I don't know if it's always like this. I guess it always tends to be. Don't know, but yeah, the way it was going, I was thinking, my gosh, this may not end until like about 8 o'clock when I go live. So, anyways, who knows? Maybe a lot of my regulars, I'm thinking, might, if it's still going on, a lot of the regulars might still be out there in auction land. So, to those of you who are here, I really appreciate it. Let us see. I'm going to jump into the chat with you guys. I know you're not here anymore, Mr. Red Jack 12, but I appreciate you as always, and thank you for tuning in and watching it later on Rewind. Really appreciate that. And of course, Jeff from Toronto, my new pal. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for dropping in and saying hello. Kavi, as always, of course. And who else do we have? Number one Marvel fan, yo. What's up, sir? CJ, there we go. As always, good evening to you, my friend. My lovely wife, Vivian. Hello, doll. Always so supportive. Thank you so much. And nice. I don't know what's use. What's use? UCE? UC? I don't know, man. You're always throwing out these weird things that like confuse me. UCE. I don't know. Evening, Rick. What's up? Mr. Easy Go Lucky, thank you as always for dropping in. Thank you so much. Hey, Mark Vega, what's up, sir? Always like to have also some of my former guests who keep coming into the audience. So that's very nice to see as well. And Mark, I was hoping that you'd be here tonight, given that you and Jason have, certainly similar tastes in art and story, both. So that's very cool to see. Appreciate you, sir. John Brown, as always, good evening to you. Good to see you, my friend. And hey, what's up, Derek? You left auction land. Okay, excellent. Does that mean it's still going? Am I right? Holy crap, that's wild. Tariq just dropped in to say hi and wish everyone the best. We'll need to catch the show on Rewind this time. No worries, my friend. I appreciate it. Have a good time doing whatever it is that you will be doing tonight. And okay, thanks for clearing that up. I know you're a wrestling guy, and as you know, I'm really not. I'm very on the outside looking in with the whole wrestling thing. Since my primary connection to it was always just as a very young kind of kid. But still, Usos. WrestleMania weekend, but what's Usos? I still don't get that part. The UCE or the USOS. Not getting that. But Stevie B, what is up? Ahoy! Good to see you, sir. And Mike, what's up? Did Jason add a Killer Preacher page? Oh yes, recently. Yeah, I thought you said today. Yes. I saw that. That's right. And I wonder where he got that. That's all I'm like wondering. You know what? Like I was like, wow, where could he have possibly found that? But yeah, man, great to see all of you guys. Thank you for dropping in, especially those of you who may, still be kind of doing double duty with the auction, if the auction is in fact still going on. And yeah, really excited and happy to have Jason on tonight. So let me bring him in immediately so that we don't have to wait any longer and we can get the show on the road. What's up?
What's up, guys? What's up, Ruben? Thanks for having me on, and thanks for that feature page, Mike. Really appreciate it.
So I got to know about that. Did you reach out to him? Was that how that came?
No, he put it up. He put it up. It was available, and then
Mike was putting it for sale. Yeah. Oh, that's
I was
right.
shocked. I was shocked. It was
Yeah.
so good. I was shocked.
That's true. I forgot about that. I forgot because I noticed too. I remember thinking, oh, Mike's putting stuff for sale. I didn't think he ever sold feature stuff, right? So, okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, good on you, Mike. You'll have to let us know if the letting go of the art is anything to do with having to use the funds for more art, or if you're just kind of, loosening the letting a few birds fly out of the cage, so to speak, So, you'll have to let us know. And yes, of course, as always, everybody, if you don't mind, hit the like button. Let's at least climb up with the likes a little bit. If anybody's new here for the first time and you like what you see, please do consider subscribing. I only ask those people who like what they see and think that they maybe there's a chance they'd be back on my channel to watch future content. I only ask those people to subscribe. So my subscribers list grows very slowly because of that, but that's how I want it. I want as many of my viewers as possible to be subscribers. I don't want a bunch of subscribers who don't ever come by and watch, So that's my thing. And so yeah, I appreciate that. Who else have we got? Anybody? Oh, we got some new other people coming in now. Slowly but surely.
Guys, sorry, I don't know how to comment right now, but I see all your highs, so thank you.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it, Jason. I actually, the thing about the software is that the in-studio guests, believe it or not, you can't comment. Yeah, you can't comment. So what I'm going to be doing is what I typically do is throughout the show, I'll post a bunch of the, here we go. I'll be doing this. Hi. Hey, Jason. Hi, Jason. Welcome. And, you can verbally answer them. That's all, Yeah. There we go, Mr. Easy Go Lucky. So we're getting all the hellos, and there he goes with the thumbs up. Mark V, of course. There you go. Yeah, it's weird. You would think that the software would allow for anybody in studio to also leave a comment, right? It's really bizarre. I don't understand why they didn't integrate that, but whatever. It is what it is, Marcus, you're gonna have to ask Mike yourself, I guess. He's right there. He's right there with us, right? So go ahead and ask him, man. See what he says. Number one Marvel fan says, trying to get you to 500 of the right people. No hosers. Yeah, I appreciate that. Hosers. By the way, just FYI, that was one of those things made up by those two guys in the early 80s. No, at least to my knowledge, nobody ever said that word hoser up until those guys invented it for the SCTV TV show. Just FYI. So yeah, man, listen, Jason, again, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Been wanting to actually ask you for quite some time. I mean, I've been doing this only, what is it now? Around 9 months regularly. But I mean, I thought of you early on in the early days. Yeah, but I for some reason or another, and I think most of it had to do with just kind of trying to think, we make assumptions about people, and we when I was making my mental list of, okay, who should I ask? Obviously, I went to my closest friends first, most of whom turned me down, and then started hitting up everybody else. And I mean, I know a lot of people, thankfully. That's the nice thing about this, right? But then and then at one point, I remember thinking when I had you on my list, my mental list, and I was like, yeah, but I don't know. Jason seems to be kind of like he again, it was an assumption based on what? I don't know. But my assumption was that you're not that much into the social aspect beyond posting, let's say, on CAF. And so I just had a feeling like, oh, I don't know. I don't think he'd say no. And I say yes. And that's why it took me as long as it did to actually finally say, you know what? Let me just ask. Why should I make assumptions all the time, And that's why I finally asked you. So I apologize for taking so long to ask.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I'm actually pretty nervous. I don't generally go live, and
okay, yeah. So
I do have a channel, but yeah, it's all pre-recorded. It's mostly my hands usually, showing off books and art. But yeah, I figured why not. And the big thing with me is just like being the center of attention is not the most comfortable. I figure, hey, if you want to look at like my art, you can go to my calf, right? But yeah, I mean, I'm down to just chat and banter, you know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, that's why in the end, of course, I sort of had to keep telling myself too, not just with you, but there was other people who I also sort of, just based on what you know about them, what little you may know, you kind of make those assumptions of, oh, I think they're more maybe shy, or they're not quite the outgoing like the way I am. So that's kind of how I was, on my mental checklist, putting the names in order of who to ask, right? And thinking, yeah, like I'll save the guys who I think maybe shyer or more likely to say no. I'll put them like at the bottom of the list, and I'll wait for a while to ask them. But I gotta say, is once I noticed that you had started your own YouTube channel, that made me go like, okay, like I think he might say yes. Although when I realized it was all pre-recorded, I was like, damn it. I think I know why it's pre-recorded. He probably doesn't want to be live, and that's why I was like, yeah, but I'll still ask him anyways, and yeah. So
sorry, I was just laughing at Mike.
No.
Yeah, commenting on my mic. I should have put the camera a little higher. Overcompensating with my mic.
Yeah, quite the mic. Yeah. Well, we both have the same mic actually. Here, let me.
Yeah, this is like
it's the same one.
Yeah, go to mic that's always on sale like Black Friday, So
yeah. And I mean, I did a lot of reviews before buying all my shit, and they seemed to be really, really good. So I was like, okay, that seems, I'll go with that one, So why not? It's okay so far, so for sure. And there you go. Hey, Scott, what's up, Scott? How can anyone say no to Ruben? Hey, that's what I think. I appreciate it, my friend. I appreciate it. Good to see you. And I am one of the elite Canadians. Are there such a thing as elite Canadians? I don't know, but I appreciate it, CJ. I appreciate it. But yeah, you know what, Jason? I before we get into it, guys, for those of you watching, and those of you who decided, oh, maybe I'll watch it just on rewind because who the hell is this Jason guy anyways? I don't know him. I want to tell you guys, some of you for sure know Jason without realizing you know who this is. And what I mean by that, I don't mean personally that he lives in your city or whatever. But here, I'm just going to show you real quick. Here, those of you, give me a second here. Okay. So those of you who are looking at Jason right now and thinking, well, who's Jason Kim? I don't know. I've never heard of this guy. Let me know if this makes a difference. And let me know if you recognize Jason. This top right corner, I just popped it up. So if you recognize that from being on CAF, which I mean it's such a, to me, it's one of my all-time favorite CAF avatars. I mean, just the brightness of the colors, the way it's backlighting. Yeah, I'm like, wow. And it's so again, like I said a few weeks back when I was like, hey, what's Jason's avatar's name there? Because it looks like Slender Man or whatever with the long arms, right? Evangelion, right? Am I saying it right?
I think it's Evangelion.
Oh, really?
Evangelion, yeah. Ooh. I mean, people say Evangelion. There's.
Oh. That's weird. Okay.
I mean, I know like the Japanese way, but they totally destroy like when they try to pronounce English phonetically in Japanese.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So Evangelion, which is like my favorite anime and one of the great anime series of all time, and yeah. For me, it has the same effect. It's just a great scene in one of the episodes, and it's easily recognizable as an image.
Yeah, and like you've been using it for years. Like I think it just not only does it stand out, but but like just as an image. But again, because online, that's kind of how those of us who don't know each other visually, we've never met each other. that's how we kind of, at least me, that's how I relate. I'm like, when somebody talks to me about, oh, so-and-so, and right away I think, they tell me the name and I think, and I try to picture, what's the avatar? That's how I associate, right? Because we have nothing else visual to associate with the names when we haven't met each other. And so yours, I've always felt, wow, like that, Jason, that cool kick-ass avatar. You can never mistake it. So you'll know that's always Jason, So my suggestion to you is, please don't ever change that avatar. It's you, like it's really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan, and I mean, if you know my gallery, Evangelion is one of my main commission subjects. So
okay,
I mean, it's just really important, piece of narrative kind of art for me.
Yeah, for sure.
And you should watch. It's on Netflix. I don't know if globally where it's on, but it's all available on Netflix. And
it's a Netflix
the movies
thing.
I think are on Amazon Prime. There's like recent movies that they did to finish it off, and
it started off as a weekly series, and then it became movies.
Yes, it was a TV series.
Okay,
and then some people weren't too happy with the ending, so they made one kind of movie to really end it.
Okay.
And then many years later, they kind of did a reboot. Same creator did a reboot to kind of redo the series with a little bit of a twist. And so, I mean, the most important are probably the original TV series.
Okay.
And then that original movie.
And are you saying that the TV series, at least on American Netflix, it's on there?
It's all there. Yeah.
Okay, so I could at least sample it and see if I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And at what point in the series will I see the still where your avatar comes from?
It's probably like 2/3 of the way through.
Oh, okay.
It takes a while. It takes a while.
Okay. Okay, no worries. But at least I'll give it a shot. That's cool. I'm very curious, right? So ever since I you first started using the avatar, I've always been like, wow, that's so cool. Like I gotta find, what is that? Yeah. Although I guess I could have reached out and asked you what the hell it is, but it's just whatever. I don't know. It's just a cool avatar, whatever. Marcus, I get it. Slenderman is definitely easier to pronounce for sure. I don't know. To me, it just feels like it should be Evangelion. But now I'm on a mission, and I'm going to try to find out and see what it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to be pronounced. Yeah. And by the way, remind me, because it took a while, pretty much until now, for me to remember that that's the name. But I always forget the first two words. Is it New Genesis? Oh no, Neon Genesis.
Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So what does Neon Genesis like? What does that mean?
Like New Genesis, so it's like rebirth, kind of like rebirth of the world. It's kind of like that. Okay, so it has a lot of like, it's not religious, but it uses a lot of like religious.
It's got some undertones of that, like theology It's got theology.
Yeah, it has a lot of kind of that, and as part of the narrative.
Interesting.
But it's different. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, I get it. Like I said, I'll give it, if I can find it on my Canadian Netflix, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah,
for sure. But was it is it a Japanese production that was made for the Japanese audience and then translated, or was it? Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I'll for sure I'll check that out. I wanted to highlight, and I kind of lost it. Let me see. Oh, Stanley says that he loves your auction talk videos. Very informative. Yeah. And,
thank you, Stanley.
So, thanks, Stanley, for chiming in on that, because I also recently had left a comment on Jason's recent auction video, just to let him know this is sort of the same thing, because I don't really, frankly, this is what I told Jason in the comment. I was like, I don't typically care what other people think about what this sold for or what that sold for or whatever. beyond occasionally asking a friend here and there, hey, what did you think of this? Or what did you think of, other than that, I typically don't want to watch a 2 or 3 hour video of people looking at tons of auction results, but yours was, you're not, I like it because like I said, in the comment I left you're not focusing on all the highest end pieces at 150,000, 200,000, 90,000. And who cares? 99% of people can't afford that shit. I don't give a crap. You know what I mean? So that's what I liked about your thing, and doing it your way, your style, and skipping over most of the stuff. You can wrap it up in a fair amount of time, and it doesn't seem like I'm there for 3 hours. So good job, and yeah, you do it good, and nice to have your buddy Yo Curry as your Ed McMahon to your Johnny Carson kind of thing.
Yeah, no, yeah, we talk about it all the time, so it's just basically recording a session talking about art. Really, it's an excuse to talk about different artists and different pieces of art, right? That are interesting, as opposed to just prices. It's kind of like,
exactly.
Prices are cool. Like, I think we try to. Everyone, is looking at the auctions and trying to get an idea of, hey, how's this market going? Especially, with where everything's at. But
which is why I did that state of our hobby address last week, right? Because people do like to talk about that, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. Really, really busy. It proved what I always say, that everybody likes to talk about what's happening in our hobby. So yeah, like I've never seen such a jumping guys in the chat. Or I couldn't keep. Like I was 25 minutes behind most of the time. Like it was crazy, right? So. But that's a good thing, right? So yeah, people want to talk about that. So no, I love it. Keep doing it the way you're doing it. Don't change that up, because I think it works. It works better that way, Yeah, it's more relatable. I guess that's the good way to put it, Yeah. So, and Mark, I wanted to say, yeah. So Mark watched all the NGE movies after seeing some of Jason's NGE art. That's cool. So that's really neat. Okay, Mark, but you should have at least told us, and be honest with me, because I hate bullshitters. Mark, tell me what you thought of it. Tell me if you liked it, loved it, or hated it, whatever. Be honest. Be honest. That's okay. We can't all have the same taste, right? I went unoriginal and just used the high school picture as my avatar. Oh, you mean that's what you look like in high school? Holy shit. I hope you look better now. Holy shit, TJ. You remember of this? You remind me of this abominable snowman character I once saw as a kid. I don't know. You're kind of hideous there in high school, my friend. Yeah, CJ, exactly. See, Rubén, the bullshit hater, exactly. Let's just be honest. There's no reason to bullshit each other, So Marcus, you want to know? Do we get an instant take of the auction tonight? One thing I gotta say, and stupid me, I forgot to ask Jason behind the scenes before we went live. So he's gonna have to reveal it now with me in front of all of you. Jason, what did you finally decide on when you got to get back to the family? What did you finally decide in terms of you have a
we forgot to talk about that. Yeah, I'd say open maybe like 7:30 ish here. So 2.5 hours. Cool.
So 10 to 10:30 ish. Oh, okay. So it's what you told me by email. 10.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. No worries. I'll remind you as we approach the 2-hour mark, and you let me know at that point where you stand, and if you gotta go, don't be shy, and let us all know you gotta go.
Yeah. My wife won't hesitate to let me know.
Really?
If I'm needed. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. That'd be awesome.
But yeah, I don't plan to be abrupt.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, NGE, exactly. Yeah, I really liked it, but now I want to watch the series and movies together. Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, that means you liked it enough that if you want to watch pretty much the whole thing, whatever. Yeah. So, okay. Very good. Yeah. So what I was thinking tonight, only because I do occasionally like to sort of switch things up and try different things just to see how they work, right? Because you never really know how things go unless you try them. So I was thinking, even though, okay, technically it's not that new, we have been talking for 25 minutes already. We can talk more, but I was thinking, why don't we get into some art now? We'll see some art, at least several pieces, and then from there we'll see how quickly that goes, and we'll decide either we'll stop and chat some more, or maybe we do all the art and finish with nothing but more chatting. Whatever, we'll take it by ear, play by ear, right? Okay, sounds good. So let us do that. We're gonna go into the art gallery, and so we've got a mix, guys, here of a pretty eclectic mix. I would say it's kind of like half. What Jason's primarily, I would say, known for, and what is more where his interests currently lie, which is more contemporary indie type art, but it mixed with some of the stuff that a lot of other guys like, which is the kind of, more mainstream, somewhat vintagey, if you want to say, like 80s era type stuff. So good eclectic mix, and yeah, I think you guys will there's something for everybody, I think, is what I'm getting at. All right, so the first piece is here, and okay, this is a great one to start with, of course, because of Jason's love for the material, and it is the NGE property. There we go. Sorry about that. There we go. By James Harron, commission. I think you commissioned this. I'm assuming, Jason.
Yes. Yeah. This was like actually, this is pretty early in my collecting. This is the second commission I ever commissioned, and it was
wow.
Felix. And
okay,
it took a while. It took probably almost 3 years, maybe 2.5 years, and so it was originally intended to be like the DPS size, and I think James just went a little bit extra because it took a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a crazy image, and it's huge. Yeah, when I got it, it was like, I'm sure everyone is aware or has experienced the feeling of just like,
everybody.
Happiness, I don't know, ecstasy at getting some art. And so that was this for me. And yeah, I mean, I like to think I always try to get as big a commission as I can. And so
oh really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're
so
into
before Felix had wall power, I think I was requesting a lot of wall power, and so
yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of fans of it, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I requested it from James because Felix used to do like more videos, like pre-recorded videos of his artists and things like that. And there was one that's featured James, and in there was a figure, like a toy figure of one of the units in Evangelion. Oh, and I was like, oh, okay, James knows what's up. Gotta request this now.
That's cool.
Yeah, he came through big time.
Yeah,
it's
He
doesn't. I mean, lately he does a little bit smaller color stuff.
Okay.
And pretty busy with his book Ultra Mega. Solo project.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to have gotten squeezed in. And gotten this
when you did, right? Yeah. And let me make sure I understand the timeline, because you said this was one of the earliest commissions when you started collecting. Would you mean collecting commissions or collecting art in general?
Period. Art. Yeah. So in my first probably 6 months, I requested this and then got it a couple of years.
So are you saying you only started collecting around 2018?
Yes, April 2018. April 2018. Yes.
Wow. It feels like I've known you from, through your gallery on CAF through much longer than that. You see what that means, man? It shows you the power of the avatar. Right? I associated it with you immediately, and I'm telling you, it feels like I would have sworn that you had been around more like since. I was thinking 2012, 2014 at the earliest. Wow. So 2018. No, that's
2018.
Wild. Holy shit. Do you mind? I'm going to ask whether you mind or I don't, but you don't have to answer if you don't want to. I always tell everybody you don't have to, obviously. Do you mind revealing your age?
How old am I? 40.
You don't have to.
I'll be 45 this year. Yeah. I mean, you know, once you hit those numbers, it's kind of like, which one am I? I don't, you know. Yeah. So 80s, 90s kid. I was into that 90s trash.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad you're at least
Rubén.
At least you, hey, whoa, hey, no, it's not all trash. I'm saying, you know, but there was a lot of trash. That's what drove me away from the hobby. I wasn't seeing things like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a lot of trash. I mean, I would never have left if there wasn't trash. I mean, it got pretty bad there for a while. So, but keep in mind, I've always said this, and like a lot of collectors have said the same thing, right? A lot of us agree on the same thing. When you're a kid, like when you're younger and you're first getting into the hobby, it's like you're just not old enough to think critically. So whether it's truly crappy or not, as a kid, if you just get bitten by the bug, you're gonna love it. No matter what, you're gonna love it, right? And that's why every decade, no matter, you know, because you'll find collectors who will say, oh no, but for me, no, I don't care about that 60s stuff, or oh, the 70s, no, garbage. Oh, the 80s, no, that's trash. And you know, meanwhile, there's people loving those decades, right? And you can go on and on and on about the 90s, the 2000s, and so on and so forth, right? And just goes to show you, there's always that generation who, if you were a kid in that decade, you more than likely, you love that stuff in that decade. That's your favorite decade, regardless if other people are saying, oh, that's like the worst decade ever, you know?
I mean, you know, that's the time where I first started more recognizing artists, right? Like now I know who's drawing what, right?
Okay.
So I feel like, I mean, we kind of talked about this, but
yeah,
you know, these days it's like very writer centric, you know, everything is writer centric. All books are writer centric. And so I wonder, you know, like, you know, the 90s kids, you know, they're pumping up the art market or whatever, you know, pumping up the 90s art, but you know that they're into the art, right? Like there wasn't much story there. So they're into the art, right? And, you know, maybe some of them go back and learn about, you know, some of the, you know, artists from the past, right? Which I think I've done, you know, just learning about it and building the appreciation. But, you know, I wonder from here on out, right? If you're a reader of comics now and all you hear about is Scott Snyder's run, Scott Snyder's this, Tom Taylor's whatever he's working on, Superman, Kal-El or whatever, you know, a lot of times the artist gets short shrift, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, how does that translate later on, 30 years from now to, you know, OA? Like, do they appreciate the art, or, you know, are they collecting based on writer? I don't know. Nostalgia based on writer? I don't know.
Yeah. Got you. Hello. Good day, mate. All the way from Oz, as ever. Good to see you, David, and never apologize, as I always tell everybody. Whenever you can make it, I always love to see you, and I appreciate it. Whatever time you can give us here, it's awesome. So thank you. And my thanks to the koala who had to adjust the antenna for your reception. And what? And hello to you as well, Comic Art Boston. No worries, in and out. No worries. I appreciate it. Good to see you as always. So yes, thank you. All right, let us take a look at the next piece of art. And for that, we're going to go here. Yeah, you're going to tell us a little bit about this, because I'm sure this is definitely something that very few, if any, people here watching tonight are familiar with. There we go. Yes.
Okay.
A comic graphic novel or comic called, well, I guess there's issues, so it's a comic called Berlin.
So yeah, it it came out in single issues over, I want to say like 12 to 15 years.
Oh, and how many issues total?
I can't remember, but
Okay.
it probably ends up being about like a
One per
300
year?
something 400 page
Oh, I see. Okay.
collected graphic novel. And yeah, I mean, it's it's all this guy Jason Lutz wrote it, drew it, really about Berlin, the city of Berlin, kind of at the edge of the downfall of the Weimar Republic and kind of the rise of the Nazis. Just how it was over there. And it's historical fiction, but there's a lot of research that went into it. Extremely compelling story talking about all the different kind of parties that were kind of fighting for life essentially at that time. So basically, Germany was devastated after World War One. Huge amount of inequality, a lot of people poor. That's how kind of the Communist Party over there started to grow. Along with that was the Nazis, and there was a lot of conflict between the two. And so this is one of the characters in the book. It's a mom who's trying to, extremely poor, trying to feed her children. Her husband has basically left her to join the Nazi party, and she didn't want anything to do with that. But in order to get food, shelter, she's joined the Communist Party, has no idea what it is, doesn't care. She's just trying to feed her kids. And yeah, you see her, early one morning, waking up, getting ready. Yeah, I mean, it's just a struggle, right, for her. And, you end up, the book ends up kind of going through many years of how the country changes, how the city changes, with the rise of the Nazi party. And yeah, I mean, it's parallels a lot of things that have happened recently, in, let's say, America. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was, fantastic book. It was must read.
Oh, good.
Comic, the collected edition came out, I think, in 2020. It was probably the best thing I read that year. Yeah, and highly recommend it.
That's
put it in there because I think everyone should read it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you: is this is the collected edition attainable? Is it still in print? Is it easily attainable?
So it came out on hardcover and trade. I know the trade is still in print.
Okay. Do you remember who the publisher is?
Drawn and Quarterly, I think.
Oh, yeah, they're right here in town.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Pretty sure it's Drawn and Quarterly. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's come out in kind of like single issue, then broken up into like 3 trades, and then full on collected. Yeah.
Right. Right.
But to me, it's a masterpiece, of the medium, and it's thick, so you might not, some people are like, whatever, but
yeah, I get it. I personally do. So, you and I, when we were talking privately before we went live, I was telling Jason that, when I had been driven away from comics in like 93, and I only came back about 8 years later, 2001. And, I mean, I told you guys this story before, I was kind of not really interested in wanting to get back into superheroes. So I was looking for something, I don't know, a little bit more realistic, let's call it. And by chance, I lucked out. That was right when On the Road to Perdition had been released. And right. And so for me, it was like, oh, like it's kind of like historical fiction, like this is, this, I love that time period, and it's reality based, so loved it. And so that's the kind of stuff I've always enjoyed. So I was intrigued when you gave me this piece to show everybody tonight, because I was like, oh, like I was like this, because when I saw the page, I don't know if you realized, but when you sent me the scans, you didn't even have them like saved by the name of the title with the page number.
Oh,
right?
crap! Sorry, man.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell is all this shit? I still have to go to his calf gallery to figure out what it all is.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. But in doing so, I mean, I was looking at it and I was like, okay, 1929. And I think it says here, let me put it back for a second. Does it say Germany? No, does it say? No, it just says 1st of May. But yeah, because May 1st, 1929. And the way the building looked, I said to myself, oh, is this something to do with Germany in the Nazi party before Hitler takes over days? And I was like, and then when I went to finally your calf gallery to figure it all out and I saw your description, I was like, ooh, it looks like it's all about that, Because I'll tell you, my own personal connection to that era of German history, it's not strong. In the 1929, that period of time for Germany, I'm only familiar with it, the whole Weimar Republic, from the standpoint of economics, so finance. So basically, the how what happened to their economy and how the currency at a certain point ends up collapsing, right, because of hyperinflation, and so I'm interested in finance and economics. So from that aspect, I'm familiar with 1920s, 30s Germany, but I never really delved deep into that part of German history from the political aspect of it, because I kind of was always more, interested in World War II onwards kind of thing, mm-hmm. right? Like, so more like late 30s. So there's this gap, right? That decade. I don't know much about the whole, late 20s to late 30s before the war starts, So interesting. I think I might have to put that on. It's
extremely compelling. It tells it that Berlin was a very progressive city for that time. One of the probably most progressive cities in Europe, and a lot of normal people, and just this build-up and tidal wave that just swept over them, with kind of the Nazi party, and just a lot of people feeling like they're going crazy that this is happening, and sometimes you just can't stop it, and I mean, it's especially in 2020, whenever it was, or when I read it, 2021, or it might have been a little earlier, but it spoke to me, just as far as what's happening, here, in the US, and a lot of similarities, still a lot of similarities. So and just to answer Cab, I bought it from the Beguiling. They rep Jason Lutz. There's still a lot of pages available, if you've read it and it interests you. And I basically bought all the pages for this issue, number 8, except for 3. So 2 of them were never sold by Beguiling. I think Lutz has them somewhere. He'll reach out to me if he ever finds them. And then 1, Beguiling reached out to the person they sold it to, and they were willing to sell it to me. So,
that's cool. That's cool.
So and got the two pages I still need.
Yeah, that's neat. Comic Art Boston, just so you know, the Beguiling is the name of a comic shop about 5 hours away from me in the Toronto area. And they also have a website, which I believe is either beguiling.com or thebeguiling.com. So just Google it. I'm sure you will find it pretty easily. Yes, of course, it's, I'm sure, Jason's pleasure. And he's also asking you, because he might have missed this because he's in and out of the chat. Would you have purchased more Silver Age artwork if it had been less expensive?
No, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I've worked my way back, starting kind of from modern to, like, my childhood era, nostalgia era. and kind of work backwards. I don't know, probably at this moment, yes. If it was this moment, like with what I have, I would, if Silver Age was cheap, if, Kirby, did go and, Ramita, ASM were cheap, the chances are much higher that I would have, a lot. But, it is what it is. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Though I have, started to kind of like nibble, when I can, when, prices are, I feel like reasonable, then,
So, Jeff, who I'm referring to is a Colt Passport. Jeff, just so you know, Rich Danny's is, by the way, hello, Rich. It's been an age since you've hung out with us here. Always nice to see you. I'd like to see you more often if you could drop by. Also Ontario, an Ontario guy. Also one of the guys who I told you about, who we go to our friends, Jeff, the other Jeff's house, for a collector's, comic collectors, art collectors, art gathering once per year. So Rich is always there. It's another guy you guys can end up meeting. And yeah, so there you go. That's a lot of fun. And Comic Art Boston. Okay, so you were already familiar with it and you've been to the website. Okay, perfect. There you go. Excellent, excellent. Beguiling is also the name of a strange Clint Eastwood movie. Yeah, I never saw it, so I'm glad you said it's strange. That makes me know that, my time is precious, so I will not try that one then. And hi, brothers of fine taste. What's up? What's up, Mark Fong? Good to see you as always, all the way from Singapore. What is up? We got a Singaporean here. We got an Australian. I love it. So worldwide, right? That's what I love about, the one of the many things the internet has brought us. It brings us all together the way it has, right? And it's like truly worldwide. I love that. It's amazing to think, like, whoever thought in the early 90s we'd ever one day be related, having fun with our hobby and being able to talk with other collectors live on the other side of the planet and from all sorts of countries. It's amazing. Really, really love it. And
I wonder what it was like back in the day, just pure con action, con and the Yahoo message board. I don't know. It seemed pretty fun, I before they took it down, I went back and looked at a lot of old Yahoo Comic Art L message board posts.
Oh, you did that?
And there was some funny stuff in there, yeah.
Well,
even recently, there's funny stuff too. So I guess it's coming back, as far as just
well, there was
back and forth craziness,
There was some craziness 2 days ago. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You saw that?
Yes. I never email or whatever out, but I always kind of read what's up in there.
Yeah. That there you go. Yeah. You used to shop at Beguiling for years when it was still in Markham. There you go. And there you go, Jeff. Jeff, meet Rich. Rich, meet Jeff. There you go. Goes well. Oh, okay. So now well, Rick thought it was weird. Jeff, you think it's pretty fun. Okay. I don't know. It doesn't get me too excited about it, but who knows? You never know. I like the Eastwood Westerns. That's I love those. Yeah. Those I need to rewatch sometime. The Beguiled.
I think The Gauntlet is my favorite Clint Eastwood film. I watched it as a kid and I was just like, this is freaking awesome,
Well, now we're hearing that Jeff is telling us, oh, wait, I was thinking The Gauntlet. Okay. Different. Okay. All right, guys, let us go in. And thank you to all of you who have joined in over the last 15, 20 minutes, who I haven't said hello to yet, because I don't know who you are, because I see that the viewership has increased, even though not so many extra. Those of you, who have joined in are just watching and not participating in the chat to say hello. But don't be shy. Say hello. You don't have to. If you're too shy, don't even have to keep talking after that. But I would implore you, say hello. Let me know it's the first time that you know, if you've watched for the first time, or if you've watched before, but it's the first time you're posting a message. Don't be shy. Say hello. Always like to see new names in the chat. It's fun. And let me see. So Scott says The Beguiled was an awesome movie with a young Eastwood. It was remade recently. Oh, it was? Well, what's not remade these days, right?
Yeah.
With Colin Farrell and Nicole Kidman. Okay. Interesting. Yes, an amazing poster. Okay. All right, guys, let us head back to Jason's collection. And don't ever apologize, Murdoch. Got in late, had to go to the store in an attempt to recover from marriage today. No worries, man. No worries. And if we have time, like Marcus was asking about earlier, who knows? Maybe we'll even bring up what, you know, we'll see if anybody wants to talk about that. But now let's keep our focus here on Jason and his collecting, and go to the next piece. And for this one, we're going to go more, jump into the more mainstream stuff. What can you tell me about this, Jason?
My first comic.
Yes, your first comic.
Conan 168, and it was a hand-me-down comic.
Oh, okay,
my older
cool.
cousin. And yeah, I mean,
how old were you? Do you remember?
I mean, it was right around this time, so 7.
Oh, like, okay, so it was like a brand new comic, is what you're saying at the time?
Yeah, it was pretty new, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it's like I had like 2 comics, you know, for like, you know, however many years, and then you know, so you just flip through them over and over again, and the cover fell off. I don't even know what the cover looks like anymore. And so this, I still have it. This is the cover, right?
Oh,
it basically, the comic looks like this side, the right image, you know?
That's cool. Yeah.
And yeah, I always look for kind of pages as soon as I joined CAF and started like buying art. I look for pages from this, and I only saw like 1 page on CAF. And randomly, you know, a couple years in, this thing popped up on eBay, French eBay.
Oh wow, French eBay.
Back then, I just like Comic Art Tracker, like, you know, half the day, right? I'm just going onto Comic Art Tracker, and I saw this, and yeah, I mean, it didn't ship to the US, but I messaged the guy. I said, hey, just how much you want? I'll take it, you know?
Yeah.
And he got it to me, and I got my cover to my first comic, you know?
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And I love that. It's so cool that your story, I mean, you got it as a hand-me-down, read it so much that the cover eventually fell off. So for you end up being only really familiar with the first page splash, right? And you end up finding the first page splash in its original art form, as opposed to, you know, because it could have been the cover, the actual original art cover, right? But for you, it's the splash that should mean more, and that's what you ended up getting. So that's just it's one of those stories where it's like it was meant to be kind of thing, you know?
Oh yeah, it's so funny how that works. And yeah, I mean, I was just shocked. I was shocked the day that it popped up. I'm like, this is unreal. I cannot believe this is happening, you know? And I hope this French guy, you know, responds to me, you know?
I hope he's nice, and I hope he acquiesces to my demand.
Yeah. I'm just like, please, just, you know, I need this. Ship it to me, and you know, and then you know, he kind of like marked it up a little bit, you know, for the trouble. But I was like, at that point, it's kind of like basically nothing to get it, you know. There's no decision to be made for me, you know.
Oh yeah, I can understand that for sure. Yeah. No, that's it's.
But yeah, and Mark's pointing out it's weird, like, you know, on the title page, Ernie Chan inked it, and he doesn't get credit. I don't know how that works, you know, as far as.
Yeah, no, that's simply a an oversight by the people in the production department when they were making the stats. And that's nothing else than that. Yeah, I found it actually kind of amusing when I was in your gallery and I was reading the you know, and I was like, really, you guys, because I saw you and I believe it was Yo Curry who also chimed in with a comment saying, I think that's Ernie Chan inking. I'm pretty sure.
Gene Park came in. And he's like, yeah, this is.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure this is Ernie Chan.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay. Then like, it was Gene. And then
yeah.
like,
I mean, it doesn't. I mean, you look at it. It doesn't look like Buscema. Like it was just maybe it was just wishful thinking. You know. Right.
Yeah. No. I mean, look. I grew up with. I mean, I have. I've ultimately learned to love different combinations of Filipino inkers over Buscema, let's say, but I grew up initially with the Buscema Chan combination, so I will always love that one, but yeah, to me, it's like you can't mistake it even for a moment. You can't doubt it. So to me, when I was reading all that stuff on your gallery, I was like, really? You guys are not sure? Like, it's obviously just a mistake from the crediting, in the production department. I thought that was just
you're just a wise, experienced collector, Ruben, stroking your beard or whatever.
I should be twirling my mustache and my beard, stroking it. All right. Enough about that. I mean,
it's clearly obvious, and but yeah, I mean, it's my first comic, and thrilled to have it. I'll always have it. It probably will be the last piece I ever have. Right? So
that's fantastic. That's great. So happy to hear that. I'm happy that you own it. Yeah, like I said, it really did. It's one of those moments where it happened the way it was supposed to happen. It was meant to be. That's it, right? It's in the right place with the right guy. So that's really, really awesome. I did want to say a quick hello to a few people who stepped in, and rather than saying hi to me or you, decided to just compliment the art. Tony, what's up from New York? Good to see you, man. And of course, always a good, fine hello to Hobby Hal. Good to see you, sir. And from Hawaii. See, look at that. Hawaii, Australia, Singapore, like Europe, some people like, and Murdoch, oftentimes, Guantanamo Bay, believe it or not. I love it. Oh my gosh, it just makes it so much more special, man. I just love that stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I get excited about this stuff, It's just really cool, man. I like the way that the world comes together. It's so neat. Who else? Oh, and Johnny, claim jumping Johnny. I'm not going to get into that whole story why I call him claim jumping Johnny. That's just a fun little nickname I always gave him when something certain. Well, he basically jumped the claim on Dueling Dealers. He jumped somebody else's claim. That's it. Because it's allowed.
They have to install a rule after that.
Well, no, it's part of the rule. Like they always allowed it, and so he jumped somebody else's claim, whatever. And okay, you got it right. I just never liked the rule.
You got to do what you got to do. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
You played within the rules, and that was it. So it was just funny. But good to see you, Johnny. He was French. He was going to surrender to your will. Who were you talking about?
The seller, the eBay seller of
the eBay guy. Right. He was going to surrender to you. Oh, them's fighting words from an American to a Frenchman. Wow. Ooh. That's rough. Good one though, I have to say. Got a big case of the I think it's gotta have it itis. But yes, I get what you're saying. Yes. The campfire moon, everything about the piece is awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And finally getting to Mikhail. What's up, sir? Good to see you this evening. Or maybe late afternoon for you. As it is for Jason. You guys are in the same state, right?
Same time zone. So Mikhail.
Yeah. And so Stanley's always got good with the questions. When was Jason first aware of original art? So not starting, because now we already know when you started.
I started as soon as I became aware, basically.
Oh,
so
wow.
I took my kids, they're a little bit older now, but they were very young in 2018. And I needed something to do. and there was a comic convention in San Jose.
Mm.
I think it's called Silicon Valley Comic Con. They might have changed. They might have rebranded to something else.
Okay.
It used to be like the old Big Wow show or something like that. And so I'm like, hey, why don't I just take these guys there, see some whatever cosplayers and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Some fun for the kids.
Yeah. And so we go, and I mean, it wasn't like, it's not huge, right? It wasn't crazy popular, so I could just buy tickets whenever. And I found Artist Alley there, right? I've never been to a convention. I've only been to like the New Jersey like comic shows that they have in like flea markets or whatever. Like when I was growing up, they just have like flea market things where the people just have comics.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
comic shops, right? That's all that I've been to.
So your family actually was originally in Jersey?
Yes, I grew up in New Jersey.
Oh, okay. What age were you when you guys moved out to Cali?
We never moved. I came out here for college and I stayed here.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, and so we went to the show and this is cool. There's an Artist Alley. There's a bunch of artists here, and walking around. Ended up probably spending most of my time there, like looking at all this stuff. And I'm like, oh man, they're drawing, and what are they working on, like comics for themselves, or like what's happening here? I had no idea what, but I just saw people drawing. I saw prints, people selling stuff, and I don't think there was any like published comic art. But I bought some like watercolor prints, and my wife knows I'm into art, and I mean, I've always been interested in art, and she's like, why are you buying the prints? I would think you'd ask about the originals. And I'm like, oh, originals. And then I asked the dude about the originals, and he didn't have any. And then after that, that's when it kind of clicked in my mind, like, maybe I could get some comic art, or art by comic artists, right? Like I had no idea about price or anything like that. And then just internet, just surfing and just looking for what's out there. And then I started like following artists left and right, seeing, and some of them were selling art. And then I found probably Calf, and then Felix Comic Art, and then boom, it's just after that nonstop buying for since then, the
last few years. Yeah
I know.
Yeah, the thing I don't I guess the thing that kind of surprises me, other than yes, I'm very surprised. Not only was I surprised earlier when you revealed that like around 2018 was when you first started collecting art, now I'm even doubly surprised that you weren't even really aware of it until then. But then I guess I'm really curious as to how did it escape your attention, given that, like, I'm not talking to an 18-year-old, right? You're in your 40s, and you were originally in Jersey, which is near New York, and there's comic shops there, and you're into comics. I just find, and you've had the internet your whole life. How is it that you think that it escaped your attention, like, completely?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just I feel like if you don't search for it, it's never going to pop up. I mean, it's like for me, I stopped reading comics like basically like probably middle of high school through college and beyond, like into working. No comics whatsoever. Yeah. The only comics that I read were like occasionally I would look up and see like, hey, what's Jim Lee up to? What's my boy Jim Lee up to? Right? Yeah. And
the fellow Korean. Yeah. The fellow Korean, right?
Oh yeah. Hey, you don't understand the impact that has on you, Because
I do.
Like, Jim Lee, this is like, can this guy be like Asian or Korean? Because I didn't really see pictures either. Yeah. So actually, once I found out Jim Lee was Korean, this was when I was, younger. I'm like, is Stan Lee Korean too? Are they like, right? Yeah, it was so disappointing when I found out.
Oh, he's a white dude.
And so,
That's
yeah.
funny,
Anyway,
man.
I mean, he's always been, not just because he's Korean, but his art is just like
Yeah,
he's the
sure.
first artist where it's like, oh, this is like freaking tight, you know?
Yeah.
And so I would always kind of come back and go like, what's he up to? Oh crap, he's back in Marvel. Like, what is his Heroes Reborn? You know?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then oh, he's doing Batman. Like he's at DC now. Like that's cool, you know? So buy some Hush, right? And that was pretty much it, you know. And then maybe like right around when my first kid was born, that's when I started like picking up comics again, because you know you're up late or whatever, and like you know have something to read while you're putting them to sleep.
Yeah, but isn't your firstborn only around 7 now?
9, so like 2013, yeah, 2014, around there is when you know.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit before that. Yeah, when my wife was pregnant, you know.
Yeah. Yes, exactly, David. And you make up a big part of that international audience. Truly, it's awesome. Yeah. I just wanted to say hello. Hey, Nick, for stepping in. Always rallying the thumbs up. Exactly. Thanks. Along with Mr. Easy Go Lucky. There you go. Yes, please support the show simply by hitting thumbs up would be nice. I'd appreciate that, everyone. Thank you so much. And let me take, of course, this a moment out of my chat with Jason here. Just to let you all know, those of you who don't know already, I know most of you do, but for those of you watching on Rewind especially, there's a lot of you who are not aware probably that Nicky B has his own show. It is a combo sales show / chat show. It's a sales / chat show. So he's got his own unique little spin on this type of content that some of us do on YouTube. And so you can claim artwork like the typical claim sale, and at the same time it is just fun to chat. A great way to end the week. It's on Fridays at the URL that you see at the bottom of your screen, youtube.com/theexp. And let me just quickly show you his lovely face. There he is. There's Nicky B. And the lovely Amy hidden behind the Friday 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. But it's a lot of fun. So tune in if you can.
Great ambassador of comics and original art, Nick Barucci. I find his enthusiasm amazing.
Yes, that's exactly. So thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. And everybody, check it out. If you can. There you go. Like I said, youtube.com/theexp. Pretty simple. The experience is what it's known as, and the EXP for short. So there you have it. And okay, so why don't we go on to the next piece? And that will be this is not something that some people will be familiar, but here, tell us a little bit about. I think people will be familiar with the name, but probably not so much the comic and the material, you know?
Yeah. Oh, Chris Ware.
Ware, yeah.
You know, I don't know, you know, who's read his work, but for me, I enjoyed, Jimmy Corrigan, but Rusty Brown is probably my favorite thing I've read by him, and it's not done. But somehow one of the French galleries had this page available. It's one of probably my favorite sequence from the Rusty Brown book, and it just encapsulates Ware, his design sense, his kind of like sick humor. It's basically like a fiction story within the story, written by one of the characters in the story. And it's just like this story of like this space mission gone bad, where one of the participants is kind of like this psycho, you know, and he ends up, you know, getting obsessed with one of the women, you know, fellow women astronauts. Yeah, I mean, you can't really see it probably here, but for me, it's just kind of like just this twisted humor from Where that he has a lot of. A lot of it is kind of like sad and like downer, but like this was for me like just funny. It's just perfect kind of like drama, a little bit of dementedness, incredible, like, just visually, like, panel to panel. I consider him to be just an amazing just storyteller, and I mean, I don't know if it's for everyone, but I've loved everything by him, and check him out. Check him out if you haven't. I'm sure you've all heard of him, but
that's why I was saying that. I think it's a name, and I was referring to the artist name, not the title of the book. I figured it's a name that a lot of people, including myself, I for sure I know the name, but yeah, like a lot of other people have not read his work,
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like I just feel like some people have this kind of genius level skill, and creators like him just have this like ridiculous commitment to their vision, not just in terms of storytelling or drawing, but just design, just every aspect of whatever he's creating. He has like the minute control over, and every little detail matters to him. And so, how do you not respect that? Someone that has like, committed themselves totally to an artistic vision,
Yeah, of course.
And it ends up being fun and like funny. And I mean, that's bad to say, but it's not fun. Okay. None of his books are really fun, but they're funny, in a way. So.
Are they irreverent? Is that a good word?
It's like dark humor, it's kind of so I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, it reminds me like a lot of, I mean, nothing comes to mind off the top of my head, but like he wouldn't be the first independent creator known for to sort of doing, devoting his life to like this indie comics that is sort of slice of life, but with a dark sort of tinge to it because it's maybe based on some of their experiences. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he has this weird way of being able to, in his characters, through all his characters, show like so many different aspects that everyone probably has seen in their life, it's just for me kind of crazy, it's just like, oh man, this guy like organized all this and planned all this out, and I mean, it's total commitment.
Nutty. It's nutty. This particular page, it looks like it's one of those huge ones. Is it a huge one?
They're all of his pages are basically like that, and so it's really like two tiers, right? And so like his books are like, I mean, they're all in different formats, but that one page represents probably 2 pages,
Right. I was gonna say because I believe, the when I got the published scans, they were actually split, and I had to join them myself just to make it look like your original art, Yeah. So okay. Also, Comic Art Boston wanted to know: do you have, since you brought him up, do you have any of your own strategies? And you don't have to reveal them if you do, because you're competing with a lot of people, obviously. But do you have any strategies when it comes to buying from Felix with his art drops and whatnot?
No. I mean, I mean, these days it's easier for me because the drops are at 9 a.m. here, and that's basically exactly when I'm driving my kids to school. So unless it's like I must have it, I'm not going to be involved these days. Maybe the summer that'll change, but I mean, probably the most recent drop was that I was involved in was Do a Power Bomb. And if people watch my channel, they know how much I love that book.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, my strategy was essentially submit for everything. So just keep going until you see it go. You can't submit for it, and then hopefully I'll get one. Because I know I won't. It's not like I'll get like 5 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I ended up with one.
I just wanted to point out this comment from Scott Hoarder's Hide. He says, I could scan it all at once. And he's being smart because, so if any of you have gone to the Hoarder's Hide YouTube, he's got a YouTube channel himself. Scott was my guest a few weeks back as well. And he's got his own channel. And one of the videos you can see, he's got this, I don't even want to know what to call it. Like, it's just a monstrosity of a machine like you've never seen before. And I was like, what is that? And apparently it's a scanner, but it was terrifying because he was showing how it worked on this video. And what it does is it literally sucks in the artwork on a roller. It's a giant roller which pulls in the art. I'm like, oh, that's terrifying. I don't want to put my art through that. Oh my God. Yeah, so
don't have any pay stubs, right? It better not have any pay stubs on there. Or maybe you just put some glue down and it'll fasten them better.
Mike says that's a scary strategy, but wish I used it for Tread More. SSB dropped the Felix did. Yeah, you got to try whatever. Like it doesn't mean that
it's not an every time strategy. You got to love the stuff,
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mr. Easy Go Lucky. Yes, please, everybody, please, especially those of you who watch on Rewind. I don't know what it is. I guess it's typical human laziness because I don't know what else it would be because it's such an easy thing to do. But, you'll get several hundred extra people watching on Rewind. And those are the ones who can't be bothered to just, I enjoyed that. Click. It's the Rewind people mostly who don't ever bother to click like. And that's not just for me. I'm just saying all across YouTube channels. That's what it is.
What YouTube should do is when you finish, let you click on the screen to like it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of having to go close and go down, to another button because you forget, and otherwise.
Yeah. But yes, up to 32 likes. So thank you, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Nick and Mr. Easy Go Lucky. All right, let us go to the next piece here. And for this one, yes, so just so you guys know, Jason picked about half of the pieces, and then I went in and decided, hey, you know what? Let me double it up, and I'll pick a roughly the same amount that he did. So he and I never told him or showed him what I picked. So the ones that I picked will be surprises to him. This I wanted to show real quick. We won't talk about it too much, only because it's an artist we've already shown tonight, and it's coming right after the one we just showed because it's another piece by Chris Ware, and it's this beautiful piece. To me, I was like, okay, if I was gonna pick one of the two, this was the one I would have picked. Yeah, and I figured, you know what, I'd surprise you, and mainly because I wanted to ask you. When you got two pieces of Chris Ware art, why? How did you go about choosing that one rather than this one?
Okay, so this was the first one I got. And, one that's at Heritage is personally as good an example of Chris Ware and Jimmy Corrigan you're going to get.
Yeah.
For me, it's got everything as far as just the panel layout and the humor, it's just twisted, right? Look at his face in the last panel, if you can't read the dialogue, but
no,
this superhero is basically going to bang his mom overnight and he's just laying there. He had to go through this whole date with them and he's laying there kind of listening to what's about to happen. And, it's just hilarious. I mean, to me, that's hilarious. And, I chose the other one just because it's I like the book more personally, right?
Yeah,
and it was just a personal favorite sequence,
Yeah.
And so, not that I don't love this one, I love this one too, but
Yeah, no, for sure. Look, hey,
yeah, I mean, I try not to be like pick the obvious ones either for my choices,
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Look, you don't have to make excuses. It's just whatever. You've got your reasons. You picked it, and that's it. There's nothing wrong. No, it's not like one's necessarily better than another or whatever. It's just I was just curious. That's all. And I know that Comic Art Boston is asking, did I pick his stellar Barry Windsor Smith piece? And I'll tell you, I would like to surprise you, but you'll be disappointed if I surprise you because I did not include it. Again, kind of like what Jason himself just answered about why he chose those two. For me, it was simply because most of the stuff that Jason chose was on the indie comics side. I figured I'd balance it better simply by putting more. Well, I didn't do that for every piece, but most of the pieces more commonly known mainstream stuff. So even though Windsor Smith is, very commonly known artist, the Opus stuff is again, to me, that falls more again back into the sort of indie category. And that's the only reason I didn't choose it. I figured I'd put more mainstream than that, But again, like I always say, everybody, in the description right down here below of this video, Jason's CAF gallery is directly linked right there, so you can check it all out. And as well as the direct link to his comic art channel, which is the actual name of his comic art channel on here on YouTube. So the both of the links are right here below. So if you want to, feel free to open them up now in another tab and peruse if you want. So yeah, there you go. And I'll give Jason once we're done with the art. So that's what I'm trying to do is try to get through the art as much as we can now, so that then we can have some time and have him tell you guys a little bit about his channel and what it's all about. All right. So before we get to the next piece, let me quickly. I noticed a couple of other comments that Mike says that the bottom panel looked like it was redrawn for print. I was examining that too. I was like, it was weird. But then I was looking at the comic book online, and I noticed that on several pages, the bottom panel, he had drawn a very similar scene, but with little differences. So I think it has something to do with the story. And yeah, and as to why there's a little bit of differences or whatever. So yeah, there you go. So Jeff, you're saying that the next page when the superhero tells Jimmy to tell, you're familiar with it, Jeff, tells his mom he had a great time. It's such an incredible moment. Okay.
It's an incredible sequence. Yeah, those two are an incredible sequence. Glenn Gould actually has that page.
Really?
On CAF.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it's just so funny, I mean, for me, it's just freaking funny, and he just started off this series, with this sequence, and it's just like, just for me, just incredible humor, and and it's funny because he doesn't strike you as like this funny dude, he strikes you as like a serious, nerdy dude, and so yeah, I appreciate it, so yeah.
Everybody suddenly is wanting to know in advance what we're gonna show. It's what I chose. Sorry guys, but I did not choose the Dave Stevens. And in this case, you're gonna want to know why. Okay, I'll tell you why. No other reason than the same with the Barry Windsor Smith. I just felt like it's a little too obvious of a choice because wow, Dave Stevens. I figured, yeah, whatever. Like I said, a little even it's. Come on, like Dave Stevens was still, because again, Rocketeer, right? That's what he's known for most. And that's an indie book. So again, I wanted to stray away from the indie since that's mainly what Jason himself had chosen. So yeah, I went more mainstream. You'll see it all soon. Don't worry. You guys that are asking usually hang around to the end of the show anyways. So yeah.
Appreciate the familiarity with my gallery. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
And,
yes, that's exactly it. Upgrade from his Black Angel. They're talking about the Rocketeer. Okay. Yes, that's it's an upgrade. Do you think it's an upgrade? I don't know. But any Dave Stevens is
The sacrifice. Yeah, it was a sacrifice that painfully had to be made.
Yeah, thank you again for rallying those likes and thumbs up, Nick and Mr. Easy Go Lucky. Really appreciate you guys as always, man. It really means a lot to me, so thank you. Yeah, thanks everybody for actually clicking the thumbs up. I really appreciate that too. So thanks all of you. And Carl says, yeah, obvious is good. Well, I know, but whatever. You can't make everybody happy. So you'll see what I want you to see, damn it. And so sometimes obvious because it is so great and therefore merits showing. Whatever. Listen, Jason was the one who chose. I gave him the option of, hey, we can do a show and tell episode or a hangout episode, which are similar. It's just that the hangout typically shows less, so we can chat more. And he gave me 6 or 7 pieces, but then I was like, yeah, but I still want a variety, to not, so it's not just the smaller indie crowd that gets to see stuff they like. And then suddenly we were at like 2/3 of the amount of art I typically have on a show and tell. We could have switched it to a show and tell, but whatever. Anyways, and
those pieces are obviously like really great, but I think the pieces I chose, I think they're great. I mean, maybe they don't cost as much or they're not worth as much, but I'm not saying you guys are superficial in any way. Like, it has to be valuable to be great, but to me, from a certain sense, they're great. That's why I want to like highlight some of these, right, and hope maybe some like 1 or 2 people see like the greatness, right, and yeah, I mean that's my take on it. Just
yeah, for sure. But look, there's a lot of great art out there. And you can find great art in most people's galleries. Obviously, not every person is going to have art to your own personal taste, right? But to each person themselves, they feel they've got great art, what's great to them. And you can find something of value. And I don't mean monetary value, but right, just the adoration of the art form itself in pretty much any gallery. So that's why the links are down below. After the show or right now, like I said, I don't mind if you go and open another tab and look at peruse his gallery right now. But it's not like we have all day and night to keep adding his entire collection here, right? So got to do what I got to do. I chose what I chose, and that's it. So so really quickly, let me just go make sure I don't miss some comments so I don't fall behind. You guys are talking behind my back now, I see. Agree, CJ. I don't know what CJ said. CJ said something about me, and Ruben will be Ruben. Okay, and now you're laughing. Good. Good choices. Thank you. There's somebody who appreciates me. I like the more unique pieces. No need to see the same names, characters over and over again. There you go. And like I said, I am going to be showing, kind of like very commonly mainstream stuff. Maybe you should have audience polls for extra art. Nah, whatever. I don't have time for that.
You better learn how to make those polls, Ruben, for future episodes.
Yeah, it's just a poll. It doesn't really mean anything, right? Like, whatever. I don't always know in advance who's going to be the next guest. Anyways, they may not have the art that they're asking, right? That they're polling about. So whatever. But I appreciate the suggestion, Stanley. And thank you for getting us to 40 likes, everybody. Thank you so much. Comic Art Boston. My true grail cost almost nothing compared to what I paid for lots of my artwork. Well, me too. Although my holy grail cost me next to nothing compared to other things that I've been buying over the years, just because I was lucky enough to get mine, 21, 22 years ago. So that's my
enviable position to be in, Comic Art Boston. It's I found I probably have like maybe 3 like super nostalgia pieces, and 2 of them came up on Heritage, and I was underbidder on one at insane price, and recently I almost bid on another, but I just couldn't. Like, yeah, I couldn't justify it. You know, it was just insane for nostalgia. You know, and so yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just crazy. You know, I mean, Grail wise stuff. It's just usually, you know, you're never going to get under the radar, right?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Guys, I wanted to remind you also one thing about Nick's show on Fridays on the EXP at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. This coming episode on Friday, so 5 days from now. Yeah, so we're Sunday. So 5 days from now, he is going to one of the items up for grabs is going to be a Romita Jr. Scott Hanna amazing Spider-Man cover, and I believe story. Is that right, Nick? Let us know if it's story. He told me about it through email, and he must have done it quickly. You forgot a few words in your message when you told me about it, Nick, and so I got cover, and I think you're saying a cover with a story, but you didn't mention the word story, so I want to be sure. So we let the people know. You know, I don't want to give anybody misinformation. So please let us know. But it's at least a cover. There you go. A complete issue. Yeah, so that's what we would call a complete book, everybody. Romita Jr., Scott Hanna, complete book. So a Spider-Man cover and complete story together. So that'll be
Pretty
exciting.
crazy the prices those pieces command.
For sure.
For more, I mean, semi-modern, you know, Romita Jr. Spidey.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And Lowell, my friend Lowell, hey, we gotta talk, man. I know you've been busy, obviously. I know you ain't forgot me. I know. I love the Binger folder you shared. Okay, I'm glad you could access it. Everyone, this is my friend Lowell Wilson, who had been my co-host / presenter on my Charles Binger vintage paperbacks episode that I did like 7 months back. There you go. We're trying to get on the same page because we want to do another episode, non-comic art related episode of that type. So there we go, and that's what he's talking about.
Congrats on the Nostalgia Grail issue piece, Mikhail.
Say that again.
Mikhail said he got a page from his.
Okay, yeah. I got a page from Nostalgia Grail issue yesterday. Hey, congrats, man. Congrats. That's always worthy of congratulations. So absolutely. There you go. All the congrats. There you go. So Jason, Comic Art Boston says, it just happened not to be a popular title. So I was very fortunate, but it really meant a lot to me growing up. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You know, you get lucky if it's something that it's not always the most popular thing that means a lot to you, right? It's sometimes it's just something that you read as a younger child. It might have been one of your earliest things you read, and for that reason alone, you enjoyed it, you loved it, and you just have that eternal connection to it, right? And it could have been a Rawhide kid or a Tool Gun kid, perhaps. Who knows, right? It doesn't always have to be X-Men. So there you go. And there we go. Yes. What do we else? Oh, okay. So on Nick's show, to be specific, he's telling us Amazing Spider-Man 11 cover and complete story. So there, complete book. There you go. And thank you for clarifying, Nick. Thank you. And Jason, I should add that another Near Grail, the first ASM book I ever read, cost an arm and a leg. Oh, but you bought it. So I think that you should go for your Grail piece the next time around.
I actually know, like, if I don't really use Grail, but if there is a number one piece, I know where it is, and probably about what it would cost. And I'm not in the league at this moment, but there's always plans, to try. But yeah, I mean, the other two were basically the Lobo one cover, which I was underbidder on, and it just was insanity. And we know who won that. And
Rick's asking. Do you know what Rick is asking about?
Frank, is it
I guess that's what he's asking.
He's asking Mikhail.
Oh, he's asking ML. Okay. The side conversations can confuse us sometimes. There we go. But Comic Art Boston reveals that the book that he's talking about, it had a moral lesson in it that stood me in good stead throughout life. That's cool. See that I get that especially when it's got that nice moral lesson in it. Kind of like when I was a kid. I mean, I was into the Hulk and Spidey. They were my favorites. But I was handed, before I started collecting, I had been handed by my next door neighbor a stack of comics. And he liked to read Sergeant Rock. And as any of you who've read Sergeant Rock know, it's like they were usually 13-page stories, sometimes as low as 8, but they were always morality tales. Sergeant Rock was always a morality tale every single time, kind of repetitive. When I started reading some, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, you start realizing, ooh, wow, okay. I mean, they're still good, but repetitive because it's always the morality tale and told in 13 pages. But it's fun, especially when you're younger. I like morality tales, Scott says, I had a strong emotional connection to Action Comics. Which reprint? The one you got in that cereal box of Lucky Charms? I think maybe that was the one. Boy, he's incessant. Just
I mean, I'll tell you, I would have to sell like half my collection. Not, I don't know if half, but a lot of it,
Yeah, goals. Yeah, well, everybody's got goals. It's about money as well, unfortunately, in this hobby, So it's not always easy. It's not always easy, and for a lot of us, impossible. And frankly, a lot of people know that their holy grail, attaining it is an impossibility, and they know from the get-go, So we can't all be so fortunate as that. So Murdoch, no little funds. Yeah, no, that's exactly. There you go. Right. Stanley, what would be worse, having a page of OA from Action 1 and trying to find the book, or having the book and grailing for an OA page? Okay, you guys can discuss that yourself. And Carl says that his first artwork from my college days, University of Hawaii, in the mid 90s, it was called Student Lounge. Cool. That's a nice little tidbit. And okay, Mikhail saying that his
Mikhail, did you just buy it on Friday?
And Maki Poo Poo, I missed you earlier. I saw your comment when you first stepped in. I don't think I said hello to you personally. So hello, sir. Good to see you. And we will be talking soon. Thank you for dropping in tonight, man. I appreciate it. And let's see, cover. Okay, you guys can talk to each other on that. Okay, cool. Anyways, let us get to the next art because the time is waning, and Jason may have to leave earlier than I'm hoping. So let us move on to the next piece here, guys. And because we've only shown 5 pieces, so at least we've done a lot of chatting, which is really
hangout, right, Ruben?
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
We don't know how many you have loaded up.
Well, no, it's 14, I believe, 13 or 14. But the thing is that as that completist mentality that has never left me, I've never done a show where I didn't get to the end of all showing all the pieces. So it's gonna piss me off if I don't get to show them all. So let us just show them and see if we can talk a little bit less time on each piece, and we should be able to do it, no problem. All right. So this is the next one. And obviously for you mainstreamers, here you go. You can't get much more mainstream than this. I guess this is something you remember buying and reading.
Prime of my comics reading, Infinity Gauntlet. Like, how do you not get this series? And another one, as soon as I start collecting, what is out there? Infinity Gauntlet, And this popped up at one of the auction houses, maybe Comic Link, and I was like, key moment right at the end there. Warlock gets the gauntlet. Obviously, the movie changed everything, whatever. But you got a great roll call, great lettering there with Thanos, trying to get it back. Great. It's suspenseful in the sense of like what is Adam Warlock gonna do right now? And like all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
faces are like, some fear, some
yeah,
curious,
yeah. It's
just total uncertainty at this moment, right? And
yeah, yeah. All the bottom half of the page is all the expressions, right? It's all about the feelings and emotions they're all going through at that moment.
yeah, yeah, and so yeah, I just thought, it's like, hey, it's a great moment. Leaves you just in crazy suspense, and just from a series that, 1990, just sweet spot of comics reading, so
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. No, yeah. I mean, for me, especially over the last few years, um, yeah, wouldn't we all, Carl? Over the last few years, I mean, we've seen so much of it, honestly, of Infinity Gauntlet art sort of hit the market, people's collections, right? We've been inundated with with this stuff. We've all been seeing so much of it. But at the same time, it's something that a large percentage of even current collectors in the art market are familiar with. They were around and they bought it and read it, right? So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So I know most people agree that it's a catch to have a page from that in your collection.
yeah, it might have been one of my first or second auction buy. So
Okay, cool.
I lucked out there too. Like something
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
was looking for pops up right away.
for sure, for sure. I also wanted to address. Let me see. Give me a second. I'm going to call you out, Reba. Why? Because I'm just that kind of guy. So Reba, when you were I think when you dropped in, which I believe was the show we did with Mark Vega. I was it him? I guess it must have been him. And I asked, anyways. But I'm going to put you on the spot, and I just wanted to, in case you didn't get the message, although he told me he gave you the message. I'm going to put you on the spot and just say I would love to have you on. You're mysterious. You got that mysterious avatar, weird, creepy avatar thing going on. I love that. You're one of the, I would say relatively few female collectors in the hobby. I don't know if you're one of the shyer persons not wanting to be on camera, but I want to let you know that even if you are, Jason himself told me he also is very shy and he was nervous to do this because even though he has his own YouTube channel, he does pre-recorded stuff. So just want to put it out there. Would love to have you on sometime. So obviously,
what's up, Reba? Thanks for coming on.
Don't want to make you feel pressured or whatever, but I wanted to at least put it out there live here with you now that you're here, so that at least I know for a fact that I would love to have you. So there you go. That's all I wanted to put out there. I'm sorry if you feel embarrassed that I did that. I do apologize. Okay, so what else? Let's see really quick. Love that. Okay. And this is the thing, Mike, is that exactly it's those were the two main things. But again, I'm curious because of the collection as well. But I'm always most curious about people who come in and they'll tune into the show, and you never know how often they're here because they don't really say much. Once in a blue moon, they'll pop into the chat and they'll make a comment, and that's what intrigues me about those people. I wonder how often do they tune in? What are they really into? What are they like as people? So she intrigues me. So yes. Anyways, she knows now. And oh, thank you. Hey, listen. I'm happy that at least you responded. You're not shy enough that you were not going to respond to me. So I appreciate that, Reba. That's cool. And that's okay. Hey, listen, people know I don't shut up, right? So I could do a lot of the talking and you can answer me with like very brief, short sentences if you want. Anyway, something to think about. Okay, so And what are you saying coming out of Boston Reba? Still waters run deep. I trust Ruben's judgment as well. Okay. Oh, I see. Because you said that I'm actually very shy. You know I am. Okay, you're hardly ever here, middle of the workday here. Okay, no, I appreciate that. Well, I listen. See, at least you're talkative here live in front of everybody, anyways, from the chat. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Who knows though? Don't be surprised if I reach out to you personally through your calf gallery and ask you again and make you feel pressured. Okay, so everyone, let us. Yes, exactly. Or take come on with me and take Marcus's advice, and just say next to every question that I ask you. Okay, so next piece. Let me see. Okay, so from Infinity Gauntlet, okay, we're gonna go back into Indie Land. Talk to us about this. Everybody knows what this is. Here we go.
Yeah, 2022 got this Comic Connect. Yeah, I mean, I was probably one of the pieces I was most pumped about getting, like, in a long time. It was just like I was so pumped to win this auction. And yeah, I mean, it's I got to Love and Rockets late, but it blew me away, and Jaime's art, just his storytelling, everything ridiculously good, perfect comics. And this was it. I mean, it's not Love and Rockets 1, but this is the Love and Rockets 2 is where Jaime was featured with his main story. So they took turns, first few issues. And, this is the first page to Jaime's first main story. And it's a doozy, and actually one of the pages just auctioned off today as we started.
As we went live.
Yeah, and it went cheap. It went for like 6,000 something, and probably should have gone for 5 figures. Not talking about book here, but just in terms of my personal opinion of what it's worth and how good it was.
Was that I thought I had seen a page. Was it from issue 1 or 2?
It's from issue 2. It's from this story.
Yeah, this story. Okay.
Amazing images of Maggie in there, just great cartooning, and I was like, when I won this thing, it was just like, the intensity. Just, I don't know. At the end of an auction, I'm rarely like jumping up and down, but this one I was like, yes, like.
That's cool. That shows how much somebody loves a piece, right? When you're jumping
when you're doing like the Ric Flair at the end of it, it's just like,
Marcus knows all about that.
Ric Flair, it's just
doing the Ric Flair.
Yeah, that's the ultimate in this hobby, I think.
Yeah, Marcus wants to know, was it orgasmic?
Euphoric is a better word than orgasmic. Yeah, it was more euphoric,
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, that feeling. I think a lot of collectors have experienced that feeling before. Maybe all of them. I don't know, but it's pretty common.
If only we can just limit, our buys to the ones that do that for us.
Right. Exactly. What's up, Richie? Yeah, exactly. Woohoo! Yeah, love it. Okay, cool, excellent. So thank you very much. Let us move on again, everyone, to the next piece. And from Love and Rockets, we go to this really cool piece. So I'm gonna show you guys here. Okay, before Jason even starts talking about this, so this is 1975. I mean the name of the comic, issue number 2. And I just wanted to say, when I was seeking the published version online, I was really pissed off to find that not even Image, who published this, could be bothered to post a scan of the entire published comic, the wraparound cover online on their website. Not even them. They commissioned Ian to do this beautiful piece, okay? And online, you cannot find anything but the front cover, which is the right half side of this piece. So this is all I could do. it's like the best I could do for everybody. Yeah, so that kind of pissed me off, but I thought, okay, whatever. At least it's something we could kind of show, just to give an idea of why it's called 19, or where you get 1975 from. It's Roman numerals. There you go. Yeah, go ahead and tell us what you want to tell us about this, Jason.
Totally under the radar book. It was 3 issues. Joe Casey, Ian McEwan. I just love the art, and it takes place in whatever 1970s New York City. Battling monsters, taxi driver. Yeah, I mean, it's just a fun, really fun story, and totally under the radar. Most people haven't read it. You can get the trade anytime you want. Probably didn't sell out of this world, but the art was great. This is when I was introduced to Ian's art. It blew me away. This piece. So I had this cover to this and a cover to number 3. Unfortunately, I had to sell number 3, but I kept my favorite one.
Oh, you had the third one then?
Yeah. Awesome scene. I mean, it's just like, just great perspective. Subway entrance. The kind of projects building. Incredible hatching, incredible lighting, just great figure work and posing. It's just, to me, like just an awesomely composed, image that's just like, the 70s New York,
Yeah. And I also have to throw out there for everybody, boy, I got to tell you guys, if there was ever a time where using the links down in the description, right, the link to Jason's calf gallery, if there was ever a reason to do it, this piece is that reason for Jason, because you can't appreciate what that particular piece looks like at that size, because of the intricate details. So please go to the gallery and check it out in his gallery, because it's a much larger image. Yeah, fantastic. So
oddly, I mean, I love the image. The number 3 cover got like triple the views. I don't know why. It had a monster. It's like a action-y more, like monster. She's sitting on top of a flying taxi, wielding whatever against these kaiju monsters. But to me, just like this image is just like, damn, it's just so great, I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, no offense to anybody, but I'm like, you fucking idiots if I don't know what you're looking at,
Yeah. Well, that's it. But that that happens all the time, so it's not worth going off about, But I get you. I definitely hear you. All right, everyone. The next piece is a very, very mainstream piece. And this is by the biggest artist of I guess you could say, definitely he owned the 1980s. And that is John Byrne, inked by Keith Williams. She-Hulk. A very, very fun series from what I remember. I wish I could read it again, but it's never collected. So
it is. There's an omnibus. There is an omnibus that you can buy,
Rubén. Oh, okay. It's just, you know what? I hate hardcovers in general, and omnibuses are so big and heavy, and so I hate them even more than a regular hardcover. But okay, it's good to know.
I have the trade to the second half. So Byrne's run on this was split up, right? So
you got 2 runs,
yeah. So I'll get your address and send you the second half trade.
No, I appreciate it. No need. I am happy to know, though. I'm glad you brought that up, because let me come back to it. I just feel like I need to talk to somebody looking at them in their face. So like a few years ago, when my daughter is going to be 14 soon, this summer, but when she was around, I want to say 8 or 9, I was still giving her comics, superhero comics, trying to get her into it, see if it would bite her, But unfortunately for females, I see now as a dad, they really did a piss poor job in mainstream, at least Marvel, DC comics, of really ever catering to the female audience, honestly, Most of the stuff I'd give her, it was just like I'd look at it before giving it to her to make sure it was like appropriate, and then I just remember thinking, like, most of the stuff I was like, oh God, I don't know. Even if it's appropriate, I'm like, I don't think she'd be into this as a, from a girl, from a female perspective at her age. And then I had the first issue of Byrne's She-Hulk, and I thought, okay, that was funny at least. I think she's gonna get a kick out of that, and she did love it, right? And then I'm like, oh, she's like, oh, can you get me more of these? And it was something that I'd picked up at a dollar bin, nearby at a store, and then I was like, I'd love to, but they're not in print. I'd love to get you the whole set, and I was, I wish, and I couldn't. And I believe the omnibus wasn't available back then, because if it was, I probably would have bought it.
Last few years,
Yeah, that's it, exactly. So, but at least now, nice to know. I'd probably make an exception on the omnibus for that one, if for no other reason that even though it's been years and she hasn't really been reading mainstream superhero comics anymore, I think she would still enjoy that.
Yeah, it's great, and for me at that age, it was like She-Hulk was the hottest character. Like Byrne She-Hulk is like, oh my God, like so hot, when I was that age, and and then it was just funny, it was just the fourth wall action, it's just like, this is a cool comic, and that's one of the few nostalgia, ones.
I sorry, I was talking, so of course I wanted to talk to you face to face, but let me pop it back up. Is there anything you want to say about that particular piece anyways? Is there a particular reason other than you just enjoyed the series?
I mean, I got it pretty early. It was just available. I got it from Mitch at Graphic Collectibles.
Nice.
I think it was on consignment or whatever. And back then, like, recently there's been a lot of She-Hulk pages coming up at auction, but that wasn't always the case.
That's true. For many, many years, you couldn't get them. And then suddenly over the last few years, they've been all over the place coming out of the woodwork. A shout out to Mitch Itkowitz at Graphic Collectibles, by the way. So it's fun. It's just a fun little thing. And I'm glad you got the original art, because the coloring on the published version is horrid. It's just brutally bad. I just look at that, especially on that glossy white paper, or on digital versions, which are very, very white. It's like,
it's just not the same.
It's just not. No, it really isn't. Jen is a spicy meatball. Who remembers those commercials from the early '80s? Because I do that to people. When somebody we're eating, we might be eating lunch or dinner, and somebody eats something spicy, let's say an Indian restaurant or something, and somebody says, "Oh, this is really spicy," and I go, "Oh, it's the spicy meatball," and everybody looks at me like, "What?" It was a commercial for, I don't know, ragu, Italian spaghetti sauce or something back in the early '80s. Am I that old that I'm the only one who remembers this? Clearly, Mikhail seems to probably remember it. I mean, I think that's what you're referring to. Otherwise, it would be kind of a coincidence. But Nick says, Byrne She-Hulk had to be an influence of Deadpool breaking the fourth wall. It's very possible, right? Up until that point, you didn't see much of that happening, if any, right? Bashara has some She-Hulk. Yeah, but you can get them anywhere now. These days they're like, just wait. You'll get them at auction all the time, Mitch is great. There we go. Some good love for Mitch Itkowitz as well. Again, what was all the detail in the color? Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's in general a truth about color comics in general. I love the line arts and color just hides it. Even the best coloring, I still prefer to see it in black and white. But Nick says, at one point it was Byrne X-Men priced the most, then Fantastic Four, then Superman Alpha Flight, and then She-Hulk, and now it's more X-Men FF than She-Hulk, right? It does. It tends to sort of shift with time, and with the collector's interest that comes in, Marcus, is this because of what I was saying about that's a spicy meatball? I'm assuming it is. I don't know.
Good job, Marcus.
See, now we got an Italian American, Rich, helping me out. Those were from the early 70s. Wow. Okay. So maybe because it was a really long-lasting campaign because they were successful, and maybe we were still seeing them into the late 70s, early 80s. I would swear I was still seeing them in the early 80s, but I'll take your word
It
for it.
must have been the subliminal 1975 that, triggered.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Murdoch says that the new She-Hulk series is pretty good, and he'll take that. Okay. And Marcus, so you're familiar with it, or have you been quickly checking up on YouTube? 50 years ago. Wow. So then you're confirming what Rich said. Early 70s, about 72 or so. There we go, lol. Mamma mia, that's a spicy meatball.
You know what I think of when I read that? This will age me. Is there's an episode of Saved by the Bell where Screech makes his own or his grandma's tomato sauce, and Slater says something like that.
That's funny. And thanks, lol, because really, it was. Are you sure it was Alka-Seltzer? I mean, it makes sense, right? The spiciness is going to give him indigestion, blah blah blah. But yeah, I guess that makes sense. Wow, Alka-Seltzer. Wow, such good memories. Good memories. Okay, Mikhail. Listen, Mikhail, you've been here often enough to know that all the shows, doesn't matter what type of show it is, whatever series I do on this channel, I often go off the rails. We've talked about donuts. We've talked about pizza and all kinds of commercials and on TV and whatever. You know that. That's it. Like, that's what this is about. Nothing's planned. If it goes off topic, it goes off topic. It goes where it goes. It's organic, and that's what I like about it. So there you go. So there you go. Rerun for many years. Zach Morris broke the fourth wall first. You got a fellow fan there, and Derek. Got my first burn FF page with Shulky and a couple of panels as a gift from a great friend. That's a nice gift. That was priced at $65. Even at $65, that's a nice gift to get from a friend. Those days are long gone. Yeah, no kidding. Jim Carrey also says it in The Mask. I haven't seen it. I never saw that on a rerun, on a replay. I only ever saw that when it came out, so I don't remember. But I enjoyed the movie. And boy, was what's her name? She was so cute in that. That was her debut, I think, right? She was such a cutie.
Cameron Diaz? Is she?
Cameron Diaz, yeah. She was just so cherubic and fresh-faced, just real cutie. Can you keep going till all the art is shown? Well, I can only keep going until Jason's wife tells him, "Get the hell off the TV and come and help me." So we'll see when that is. Rich says, "Stick to the script." The beautiful thing about all my shows, Rich, as you know, is that there is no script. That's why it goes off the rails all the time. There you go. Yes, exactly. We thought of it before we saw the answer. But thank you. I appreciate it, my friend. All right, next piece here. This will be, we're getting close. This will be number 10. All right. So I'm the one who chose this one, guys. I'm the one who chose this one. I actually wanted to throw you guys a curveball and also throw in something that is more, obviously, independent, if you will. And the piece blows me away. So I was like, I don't care, mainstream or non-mainstream. I was like, why didn't he throw this in himself? I'll throw it in for him and see what he has to say about it. What a killer.
Actually, yeah, I wanted to put in a Bertram piece. I don't know why I forgot to, but Ian is one of my very, very top artists today. I think he is just singular in terms of his style and vision, and he did a book recently called Little Bird. I think it won an Eisner. The art was incredible.
I saw you talk about it in your calf gallery. So everybody, go to his calf gallery and check out his Little Bird page and see what he says about it.
Yeah, and then he did this for a gallery showing, like a tribute to Otomo, that Philip Labon, I don't know.
The Philippe Labon gallery. Yeah.
Did with variety of artists did pieces, paying homage to Otomo, and he basically went nuts on this one. As a big Bertram fan, it was instantly like, I must have this, and I got it. And the detail is incredible. It's huge. I think it's like maybe 20 by 30.
Wow. That's got to be even more impressive, because even at this shrunk down size, it's just unbelievably impressive. So, everybody knows when you see that large art in person for the first time, or any time really, it always takes you back. You're like, whoa, it's like, whoa. Yeah.
I
It looks
love
like
the commentary, Rick. Yeah, I mean, the thing with Ian's art is like from further away, it looks one way, and then as you get closer, it gives you a little bit of a different experience. You know, yeah, I mean, if you haven't read Little Bird, you should. He also did a book called House of Penance with Peter Tomasi. He's working currently on a prequel to Little Bird called Precious Metal. He's been working on it a while. People that follow him kind of have probably seen previews of the art. I mean, to me, is just so unique as a comic artist right now, and he brings something new to the table. A lot of influences on him, but it all combines to form this just beautifully unique art that I mean, I can't say enough good things about Ian and his art, and I've had the chance to meet him before, and just one of the kindest guys, very down to earth, humble as all hell.
That's important.
Yeah, I mean,
for me, anyways, certainly.
Oh yeah. You got to be humble in life, and yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things. He's just incredible. He's an incredible artist, and he. I mean, I have no idea. I know his fans are like just huge fans, but I expect that number to grow over time, and he's one of the guys where I'll just buy as much as I can, of his art.
With skill and talent like that, not always, of course, but in most cases, always ends up finding an audience, So I have no fear that he will continue to grow and make his way out in terms of the exposing himself, his work to a wider audience over time. That level of talent and skill. Yeah, you can't keep that stuff down is really what I'm saying, right? It'll get out there. If it's not one way, it's another, right? Because even if it's like, oh, well, I just want to work on, let's say, indie books, let's say. So that can sort of stifle your growth. But that level skill and talent, the fans by word of mouth will still help you to grow bigger than what you otherwise would grow if you by staying as, let's say, a small independent guy. You know what I mean? So yeah, it'll get out there and it like I said, it always finds an audience for sure. So
what's up, Yo Curry, my partner in crime, saying what's up, Yo Curry.
I was wondering. I was like, wow, it looks like you didn't bring any of your friends to the show tonight. Nobody's coming in to support you. Look at that. He says, Jason, doesn't say shit to me, of course. What the like? Okay, hello, Yo Curry. Like, first time coming into my show, and you don't say nothing to me. All right, I don't take offense. It's all right. Even though I see you on Jason's show all the time, and I watch it, and I enjoy it, but whatever. That's okay. Isn't nothing. You see, I always have to guilt people into making them feel bad to say hello to me. There you go. Love it. I'm just yanking your chain, man. So I thank you for coming in and saying hello and supporting your boy. I really appreciate it, man. That's cool. It's always nice to see any friends that come in are willing to do this with me and hang out. It's good that if they have friends who don't normally come and check my show out. It's
sorry,
nice
Ruben. I'm just pure leeching off of you. I'm the Voltaire. I am the Voltaire guest. Oh,
that's funny. Good night, honey. See you later. But yeah, no, I yank everybody's chain. So, everybody who's watched even a little bit of my show, it doesn't take long for me to yank someone's chain. So everybody typically knows, like I'm never serious when I'm doing that. So appreciate you. Like I said, I appreciate anybody coming to support their people when they come in and hang out with me. So yo, Curry, maybe you can come in and do a show with me sometime too. Would love that. That's up to you. Calling you out in front of everybody. Think about it. Okay, so before time is waning, sorry, I hate feeling pressured, but I'm starting to feel the pressure. Let's go to the next piece, guys. There's 4 more. Maybe we still have a chance to see it all. So I picked this one. This is another one that I picked. And I picked this Mr. Miracle cover by Nick Darrington. What do you got to say about this one to me? I mean, I guess I picked it. I guess maybe I should say why I picked it, but I'd rather hear you because you own it.
Have you read this book?
You know what, Jason? Let me come back to you again. I haven't, but it's one of those books, like there's many of them, but that is one of the ones where ever since it came out, I heard nothing but positive things. And I kept thinking, like, really? Because I was never like a big fourth world guy, you know? And so I couldn't believe the amount of press attention that I was getting within the hobby. And I don't know if anybody knows this. I think I mentioned on one of my shows once, several months back, but there was a time while the series was running. Is it Tom King, the writer?
Yes.
Yeah. Tom King was on one of the big network, what do you call it? Talk shows. I can't remember if it was like Jimmy Kimmel or I can't remember which one it was. But I was switching channels. I stop on this channel, and I'm like, okay, I'm just watching. Okay, let's see who's this guy they're talking about. And suddenly I hear, they're talking about comics. I'm like, what the hell is this about? Why are they talking about comics? Then I find out Tom King, and I'm like, Tom King, that's that writer guy? And then I hear Mr. Miracle or what? I'm like, what? Why would a writer of a DC comic suddenly be a guest on a late night talk show? Like, I don't think I've ever seen that happen. Not even with like Frank Miller and all the guys you would expect to do that, And so ever since that, I kept thinking, okay, my mental checklist, at some point, gotta try that Mr. Miracle series. Sorry, I keep talking too much. Go ahead and tell me what you wanted to say.
And it's a great book. Very different take on Mr. Miracle. It's kind of like I actually listened to an interview, with him during that time, and I think he talked about kind of what it's like to like wake up, feel like you're waking up in the world and things are like off and things are different, and I think a lot of people maybe have that experience over the past like five plus years, where it's just like the world was one way and now it's just like bizarrely a little bit different. And that's kind of like what is happening in the story.
Okay.
And there's no art because Mitch Gerads is pure digital.
Yeah, all digital.
So
yeah.
Art for the interiors. He sells the mono prints 1 of 1.
I see.
Okay. Nick Darrington did the main covers, 12 main covers, and I just I like the story enough that I tried my best to get as many as I could, and this was the first one I got, and I love the image, just like worn down from battle and war and just contemplative Orion. That's pretty much it, There's only 12 of these, and
No. You've said it all. Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to say, not being all that familiar with Nick Darrington's work, when I saw it, I was like, oh, so he must be a big fan of Frank Whiteley. It feels like that sort of style is all his art. Does it tend to look does he use that style for everything?
I wouldn't. I mean, I've never thought Nick Darrington.
Oh, you don't think it looks like Frank?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's like very cartoony. I know this piece isn't that cartoony, but he's very like has this like cartoony style to him.
Okay. But you don't feel that the line art, the line quality to me, it just right away, and it didn't even have to think about it. When I saw it in your gallery, I was like, oh, that looks like kind of like that Frank Whiteley stuff.
Yeah. I mean, in this piece, I think you might be able to say that, but he spots blacks more. Actually, now he does. Like, I actually prefer his pencil work to his inked work, and now he does a lot of just like pencil stuff, like colored pencil, and then kind of like the blacks are kind of like more digitally done. But yeah, it just brings kind of a different level of detail and like softness and like roundness to the cartoony characters. When I say cartoony, it's not like Simpsons cartoon, like that.
Not like animation TV show or whatever. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's like it's just less maybe realistic and more,
Sure.
Yeah, he's got a great style. I think he's a great artist, and glad to have a few pieces by him.
Yeah, cool, and thank you all of you, those of you who chimed in. You reminded me. Yes, now that you said it, yes, it was Tom King on Seth Meyers. That's exactly the show it was. Yeah, so thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, beautiful. I love it. Yeah, I love that. It's a very simple cover, but somehow I felt it was powerful. And a beautiful style too. So very lovely. Okay, everybody, let us get to the
good eye, Ruben. You got a good eye.
Well, I try. And by the way, I don't know if I know you're in and out Comic Art Boston, so I don't know if you're in at the moment. But going back for a second to the Ian Bertram piece, you said beautiful, and I think you thanked me for the picking that one. I just want to say, does that make up for me not having chosen the Barry Windsor-Smith piece? Just let me know, please. You're ragging on me, but I think, you should give me the credit for that at least. Okay. So this next one, so fantastic. So fantastic. Let's take a look at this and tell me about this piece here. Yeah. For those of you who are too lazy to read, this is the cover to the Lone Wolf and Cub, the Criterion Collection DVD and Blu-ray from 2016 by Paul Pope. Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, Pope, another one like up there for me with Bertram is like one of my top like, I'm just always trying to buy their art. He's probably, to me, like, better than Miller for Lone Wolf and Cub, It's just an amazing image. The juxtaposition of water, fire, I mean, he's just, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what people think of him, I always,
you're speechless, Jason.
Yeah, I talk to lots of people kind of about him, but when I look at it, like watch YouTube and there's lots of comic reviewers, things like that, and it just seems he's like you either love him or hate him. Some people just don't get his style. Maybe think it looks ugly, but
yeah. If I may, if you don't mind me interrupting, for a moment, is that cool?
Yeah. Sure, show, man.
Well, it's our show, as I tell everybody, it's our show. You, me, and everybody who's in the chat, it's all of ours. That's what I strive for. So, I just wanted to say, I wanted to make a comment because to sort of piggyback on what you said about how in your experience you felt that you talk to other people about Paul Pope, you're not really sure what people think, but when you do talk to some and they think, it's they don't like it, whatever. I gotta say, so my own feeling about it is, first of all, I think the reason that maybe you might not, it's hard to get a lot of people to sort of maybe give you much feedback. First of all, he's not a mainstream artist. Like this is not a guy who has ever done a monthly book, right? So that always makes it harder for the average person to sort of know and find out about a particular artist, So he does like special projects, you know, and if you don't catch those special projects, you probably will never even hear of these guys, right? What I will say about him, he's brilliant, okay? And I want people to understand when I say what I'm going to say next. I want people to understand. So I'm going to have I think it's sad and pathetic that I have to preface what I'm going to say by excusing myself just in case you think the wrong thing. But that's the world we live in now. Everybody wants to be offended about everything. So it's not going to sound. This is is not meant the way you think it might sound. But what I want to say is his art. When I look at it, a lot of his characters are ugly. So I think that's what a lot of people, when they see that, right, on surface, well, look at that face or look at that head. It's ugly. And they're turned away and they walk in the other direction. And so they don't give it a chance. So what I just want to say is that, and by the way, Paul Pope is not the first artist who I have sort of felt this way about. But I guess the best way to put it is, even I see that and I'm like, yeah, like, wow, those faces are ugly. And I don't know if any of you can understand this, but in spite of the ugliness, it's attractive. So there's something about the inherent ugliness of some of the faces that actually, rather than make me run in the other direction like some people do, it pulls me in and makes me want to see it more.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head, Ruben. It's like, because you're the first moment you look, the faces do look not attractive, right?
Right.
But the more you look, they become attractive. I mean, that's true. And the more you look at his art, there's an energy, that I'm not gonna say it's incomparable, and I've said this before, but like, if you talk about like Kirby energy, like in action, in movement, even in still figures, like Kirby has this energy. And
yes,
for me, modern art wise, like Pope is the only person that comes close to creating that type of energy, in with his posing, with his layouts, just it's just like power, I mean, there's lots of artists out there. Like, I'm a huge Jim Lee fan, but I don't think, when I look at his stuff, I don't think like, damn, that's like some power, powerful figures. Like, when you look at it, it's just like, boom, it's like exploding. The whole like image is exploding, and I mean, that's what I think with Kirby, and
right.
It's so, I mean, I'm not an artist, but I imagine, it's impossible to capture, for most people,
right.
And he's able to do it.
Right. Yeah. And I just want to mention also, I find that he has an amazing sense of composition. He composes the pages. I can tell he thinks of it compositionally. Not to say other artists don't try, but he just seems to succeed, from what I can tell, more often than not. It's just, you look at it and it's like, wow, so amazing artist. But like I said, I have to address Comic Art Boston. Not ugly, just a different style. No, I'm saying I find it ugly, but not the style, right? The people, some of the people's faces. But again, it's like an attractive ugly that makes me want to look at it. Who
else is like that is Barry Windsor Smith. Comic Art Boston's Barry Windsor Smith. So ugly. I mean, like, for me, when I first saw his faces, I'm like, what the hell, man? And but then over time it just grows on you, and it's like a very similar face. Everyone has a similar face, and like he could make that similar face look extremely attractive or like ugly, and
Yeah. So there you go. Okay. 6 minutes before he might get yanked out of here, guys. So let's go to the next piece. There's two more to go. I'm hoping that your wife is actually sneakily watching on YouTube from the other room, so she hears me saying these things and sees that I'm trying to get this done quick.
She's not. She's not.
And
Got
that she
3 kids, Ruben.
no time for that shit, right?
No.
Okay, so here we go. I had to put this one in, guys. This is my choice because this is, to me, my personal favorite Alan Moore story. Let me be more specific. Not the entire run. For me specifically, 21 to around 40. So the first half of his run, maybe potentially my favorite comics of all time. Certainly one of, and certainly for me, this is my favorite Alan Moore stuff of all time. But anyways, that's why I picked it. Yeah, tell me a little bit about this, Jason.
First arc, after that one setup issue, Anatomy Lesson number 21, just one of the most mind-blowing comics issues probably of all time. This one popped up on eBay when I was like just always scouring, and it was cheap, I mean, what feels cheap, and,
really? Wow. And you've only been collecting.
It was a good deal,
Like, you've only been collecting since 2018, and you found something that you felt was cheap. Wow. That's
I mean, it wasn't cheap, but I mean, for what it was,
relatively
it was cheap.
Yeah, relatively.
And, I mean, I thought it's a fantastic example. Just in one page, just the storytelling, the suspense, just technically like the incredible close-up shots of Swamp Thing, the eyes, just like it's just ridiculous art, right? And I mean, from that first arc, I agree with you. I remember when I put this up, there was a lot of comment. You added a lot of comments. There was a lot of good back and forth on there. About the run, the piece, and I love this piece too. It's just phenomenal piece, and I know a couple of Swamp Thing, I think number 50 pieces.
Yes,
got auctioned off recently, like one in this one and one in maybe the last auction. I mean, I love this first arc as well, and just this specific page, just it's just incredible, detail and art.
Yeah, I always love the Bissett Toddlebins, those close-ups of the faces. It's all in the eyes, and the emotion in the eyes. Oh God, and the Toddlebin especially. No offense to Steve Bissett. I mean, he was a great storyteller, but the overall beauty of that run with those guys was those unbelievable finishes by Toddlebin.
It had to be the combination. Yes, it had to be those two. Yeah.
But it's just phenomenal stuff. Yeah. So a lifelong favorite of mine. So very happy.
Thanks for putting that in there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
A fave, that's a fave, and I'm very happy. I mean, some of the stuff I got lucked into pretty early, just being fast, and this one I was fast and got it. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, guys, last piece here. Don't go anywhere. Those of you who are able to hang around, don't go yet. Anyways, last piece, because I still want to, if unless he gets yanked, I still want to talk to you. Let him talk to you guys a little bit about his YouTube channel. But let's show this last piece, and this may take up all the time we need, though. Let's see what happens.
Save the best for last, Ruben.
I figured it was the right time, No.
So, Pulp. If you haven't read it, Brubaker Phillips. This I think came out in 2020 or 2021. One of the two best books that year. When I read this and then Monsters by Barry Windsor Smith, those were the two best books that year that I read. When I first heard about this book, it was like, 70 something pages, like the idea seems great, but like, is that enough time to tell a good story, and yes, it is enough. It is like they executed for 72 pages as perfectly as you can, as far as every single beat. moving story, compelling characters, great Sean Phillips art. And so, this is towards the end. And
yeah, this is about 9 pages from the end, 9-10 pages, something like that, I think it was.
And no, this might be the second to last page.
Yeah?
Third to last page.
Oh,
And
okay.
so it's 60 something, I think, pages. Oh, no. Maybe there's like 3-4 pages after this. But,
well, it doesn't matter, but whatever. Yeah.
I mean, I talk about this on my channel a lot because I love buying these pages. I have a lot of them. Yeah. But if you'll notice, Phillips was kind of probably in a time crunch and spotted the blacks digitally. And so you'll see like an X with an open area that in the book is spotted, right? And so I've debated with people and with myself about doing it myself. And I actually asked Sean, I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? And he's like, yeah, it's cool. You can do it. Just use India ink. And you know what? If you go back, Ruben, he tells you exactly where to do it. Okay, he tells you there's an X right there. Like this is where you do it.
I know how to.
What he did is he put it into Photoshop and like whatever function you have in Photoshop to like fill the black. That's what happened, right? And normally in the past, long time ago, when artists had assistants, the assistants would do this work for them. They don't have time. They gotta make the pages and sometimes assistants would draw backgrounds or whatever. Sometimes they would just spot blacks, maybe if they're starting out. And I feel like Sean gave me permission to be his assistant. And now, have I spotted the blacks yet? No, I have not.
Because he's got my voice ringing in his head.
It's not your voice. There's no. It's just me. It's just pure me. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And
yeah. Let me hold you right there because you kind of went into the that whole part of the page so smoothly that I don't even know if people caught on. Because I'm surprised it really hasn't been comments. I just want to make all of you guys watching and gals, Reba, if you're still around, I want to make it clear so you understand what Jason had just said over the last couple of minutes. That as you guys saw, a lot of the areas, particularly the person with the gun. Here, let me just quickly show it one more time. Okay, as you can see in the second, third, and fourth panels, he finished the head and the legs. But all he did was that big, thick black outline for the body, right? Because it's a silhouette, ultimately, for the published version. And so what Jason just finished saying is that it bugged him enough on the original art to have it like that, that it has made him feel like very tempted to grab tools and start, and like he said, he has a lot of these pages. And he wants to fill them in, or at least he's been feeling like he's tempted to fill all the blocks in on the original art himself. You guys already know. I don't even have to say what I feel about this. You guys already know me. You know what I feel about this. So I just wanted to throw it out there. And I'm glad that it's cool, Jason. Thank you, by the way, for putting it out there. And because you're putting it out to potential, people might say some bad shit, right? So I appreciate you putting the idea out there. But it's cool because honestly, nobody's mean here. We're all friends and we're all friendly. And it's good to get feedback, right?
The way I look at it is there are accepted norms. And obviously there are people that go beyond that, right? They'll add art or like, I had on my channel, we looked at the recent auction of Paul Pope Batman Year 100 pages. And there were some like very faded inks on there, right? Where like he used bad ink or he might have used marker. And it's like brown. It's like, it's going to disappear eventually, right? And so now if you are doing something with that, then you are truly altering the image there. Okay.
Right.
and it's debatable even if you would have the artist do it, because it would not. He couldn't do it perfectly like he originally did it. Okay?
Yeah, and the point that I always made, I made many points, but especially the point that I really wanted to make was that even if it's a stupid hypothetical because it's not possible, like you just said, but even if he could, let's say he had the exact same line, it was identical, okay? So it doesn't stray out of the line at all. It still doesn't matter because now all you have is brand new 2023 inked tracing of the original. It's no longer the original from 40 or whatever years ago. That's why it's horrible. You've ruined it. You've destroyed it. You're not saving
That's
it.
True. In a sense, that is true. In a sense, that is true. Now,
it's reality.
I don't know. As far as an area that's totally black, right? That is intended to be black, and the final product is just black. There's no skill to it whatsoever, because in Photoshop, there's this encircled area, and it just fills. This computer fills this thing black for you, okay? To make this final published page, right? Yeah. Right? There's no like tone to any of it. It's just
I get
fill, right?
The fact that it's a solid black area.
Yeah.
So, I totally get it. Yeah.
From my perspective, it's a slightly different debate. Okay.
All right.
I haven't done it yet, and I know there's some people that feel very strongly about it.
Yeah, like Rick. Rick says, "Don't do it."
That's something I go back and forth in my mind about quite frequently. Not like it doesn't take up like all of my day every day, but when I look at the page, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm reminded again. Like, I haven't really decided on this, but I've had like, a friend, Troy Nixie, great artist. He was like, hey, you know what? You want a good artist to actually do it for you, to feel better. I'm down, and
right.
I thought about that as probably better than me doing it.
I would say
the debate is it's still it's not, it's more about should it be done as opposed to like if it's done, is it going to be good? Because it's hard to F it up. Okay, it's hard to F it up. You could F up like redrawing something, right? I don't think you could F up spotting clear blacks. Like he spotted the blacks where you needed some touch. He did all that, right? The areas he left open was like no touch required. This is just like it's just busy work for me, and so I'll do it when I scan it and before we publish.
So let me bring a few voices into the conversation. Jeff says, could you do an overlay perhaps that fills in the blacks? And Murdoch also says, do an acetate with the blacks if you're doing it yourself. So it's not, so they're trying to say not on the original because you are not an artist, especially the artist. So they're trying to say they're giving you alternative versions so you can kind of do it perhaps in a way where, okay, at least the original is still untouched. How about that?
I just think acetate would be overkill for that. It's just, I mean, I don't know. This just sounds silly to me, like it's just like either keep the page like the way it is or spot the blacks, and
Well, look, Mike says Greg Capullo has spotted blacks on pages that I bought from him, right? Because he left them out, so he did you a favor. I get that.
Yeah. So some artists do that, right? They leave it out. And then like you buy them and they're like, hey, you want me to like spot these blacks before I send it to you? Right. Like I've bought from like Kyle Baker. And so sometimes he does a lot of that digitally. Right. Because it's just faster and easier. Right. And, like, okay, spot them and then send them to me,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean.
Stanley wants an intervention for you.
It's to me, it's just a reasonable thing to think about, this specific case. I'm not talking about restoring art or whatever.
No,
right?
We know exactly.
When you talk about like fine art, you talk about fine art. You have essentially restorers repainting shit, okay, for fine art, right?
That's a whole show altogether. That's a whole show.
Okay, well, let's if we talk about that, right? They're essentially repainting stuff, right? And which is crazy, right? But in that field, I guess that's okay. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why that's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I wish we had the time because I'd love to get into it, but we can talk about the differences between that and this. We don't have the time, so let's not get into that. But let me just show you a few more comments from people. So he says make a print, but I don't what? And you mean ink the print? But then what's the point after? It's kind of then just a little bit of a slightly inked photocopy. Comic Art Boston, please leave well alone for the original at least. Okay, I'm with Jason on pure black background. I don't know what you mean. If you're okay with him doing it, as long as it's a pure black background, maybe. Rich says, "How do you feel about Starlin having?" Okay, this is this. We don't have time for this. I love that. I love it. I should do a whole show on this because I'm going to go crazy. And yeah, it's a whole show unto itself. But Starlin having a re-ink. Yeah, we talked about this on actually multiple shows when some of my episodes went off on tangents. Those were one of the tangents we talked about, Rich. Pink and faded from no. That's what we were mentioning just a few minutes ago when Jason was talking about this, that it's fading inks, and that's a whole other thing. And no, that's we don't have time for that, unfortunately, Rich. But we should probably do I should do a whole show on that at some point, because people do like to talk about it. It's a great debate. Spot on, Rich. Yeah. I prefer retaining my imperfect page. Yeah. Okay. Yo, Curry, do it. He's like, do it. He's pushing you, man. He's pushing you over the edge. Chuck Arnold says, if you're ever going to sell it, you'd have to disclose. Well,
there's no doubt. There's no doubt you have to disclose it. Not that I'm doing it to like increase the value of it. I don't think that would increase or decrease the value of it. I really think it would not impact the value of it in any way, because once they look at it, they'll be like, yeah, it looks cool. And I like this book, right? It's kind of just like a footnote in history, right? It's like, what has changed, right? It's not like you're making, I mean, I've heard about people, collectors or dealers, just redrawing stuff and creating unused covers or whatever, building.
He doesn't want to do it that way, Nick. He doesn't want to do it that way. He says that's pointless. So yeah, sorry to interrupt, man. What do you have here? Rich says, I had an Alan Davis splash that had a large black area that was fading from using a Sharpie. I asked the original Mark Farmer to fill it with India ink. Okay, yeah. This whole topic.
Look, Rich, even Rich, it's like the inker spotted the blacks, right? Like, what did he actually do? He just spotted the freaking black. He just made black areas black, not like, you're not drawing anything in.
Nobody discloses nothing. I agree, Marcus. That's the problem in this hobby, that everybody that does these crazy things, ultimately, you'll never see anybody selling these pages admitting that, well, just for full disclosure, this was completely re-inked by Joe Blow over there. Nobody ever seems to do that. That's for me, that's one of the biggest problems as well on the aftermarket. Mike says he sees no problem having a pro like Nixie do it. Comic Art Boston, if acetate is overkill, what you propose doing is worse than overkill. Just put this on the back burner and chill, he says. Which is what he's been doing. He's obviously struggling with the decision. Mona Lisa has been touched up. Okay, I'm not getting. Yeah, that's what Jason was saying before. Again, I should probably definitely do a show on this. Obviously, I think that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to decide who's going to be in the studio with me. I should probably have 2 or 3 people in the studio and let them do most of the talking, and then I'll just act as a surrogate for all you guys in the chat to pop all your comments and questions, because that's going to that'll be a lively show for sure. But yeah, I think I'm going to do it. I've been talking about it for a long time, so I think it's time to finally get on that. So, all right, we're going to do that. Had a tattooist let me fill in some black areas on my own leg. That's hilarious. That's kind of cool, though, because it's your own body, so why not? If you didn't bring it up, nobody would ever notice. That is very true. That is very true. Except that's not necessarily true, because the thing about a pro artist versus a non-artist, Marcus, you can actually tell by the brush strokes, the way that an artist just flicks the brush, the hand stroke, the way the stroke comes off the brush, the ink comes off the brush or the pen or whatever you're using, you can actually I can tell the way blacks are filled in, whether it's an amateur or a pro. But anyway, again, we don't have time for me to explain how, but it's actually more obvious than you would think on blacks when you look at the original, if you get a good scan of the original. So yeah, don't be so sure about that. And one thing, if the artist does it before I buy it, it's another thing if it happens after I buy it. Yeah, no, absolutely. Jeff says, yeah, if you're going to do it live on your show with some stressful music playing. That's another idea. Rich, Jason should fill in the inks right now live on my show and watch him explode. I may just explode. You never know. We have Carfax, Spotting the Blacks. We'll introduce Artifacts. I bet people already have it in their collection. Turn a blind eye. I agree. Yo says, in all honesty, don't do it. Speaking from experience, even if you had the same brand, they change formulas and could be different levels of fresh. Exactly. Yeah, dry and darker. Yeah. That's another reason. Exactly. Who's touching Mona Lisa? Joe Blow. Okay. Get an inker to come in and talk about ink and older piece if you do the show. I don't know if I would do that, Murdoch, if an inker was willing to come on, particularly an inker who is known to have been paid to re-ink those Starlin and Kane faded pieces. The problem is, I don't know if they'd want to come on, because I would warn those inkers that if you decide to come on and talk about this, I'm opposed, right? I'm taking the opposite view, and I'm going to blast you on screen for 3 hours. So, and that's going to happen. So I don't think, I doubt that an inker would actually want to be, agree to come onto my show, knowing that I'm telling him I'm probably going to blast him nonstop for 3 hours. So, yeah, but a good idea though. It's a good idea. Heck, look at the artists whose styles have changed over the years. Exactly. Yeah, your style changes naturally. Your tools change. Everything changes. Jason acquired most of his favorite piece. Okay, I know Stanley's so famous for that on my show. He loves to extend the shows as long as possible, and he'll as we're going late and he knows we're ready to wrap up, he'll ask something that he knows is going to extend the conversation.
Yeah. Quick answer is yes. My buying is slowing down, Stanley. Okay. My buying is slowing down, and it's just because I don't have unlimited funds, and so any buying now is usually just, I think it's better for my collection, and then I have to kick out stuff. And so even this week, Heritage, I bought for me a pretty major piece, and if you guys know my calf, we saw you selling your Do a Power Bomb art. I'm like, what? Yeah. Wow. I mean, I have a lot of Do a Power Bomb art.
Yeah.
More than your average person.
Right. And you can afford to part with some a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that's basically what it comes down to. Is I try to sell now a few pieces on calf over the weekend, and then if not enough sell, then ship a bunch to Heritage, to just pay the bill. So, that's basically how it goes. And the tough thing with the favorite pieces is when you collect modern art, it's just like constant, creation of new art, right? And so, that's the one thing. One of the downsides of collecting modern is there's always art, new art.
Yeah. He just Comic Boston wants to compliment you. He goes, if I recall correctly, he's not sure. Your asking prices are very reasonable.
Yeah, sometimes they are. Like, if you look at my for sale stuff, like you might look and like some are pretty high or some are, decent. I think I try to price right to the market, and unless it's like I don't have to sell it, I'll put it up. If you really want it, then here's the price. If you get basically near it, then it's yours. But if I'm sending a bunch of stuff to Heritage, like, I could send a bunch of stuff over there, right? And I could keep the stuff that, like, so as an example, like there's some stuff that won't sell on calf. I just don't think it will sell on calf, the tastes don't fit or whatever, and so I'll just send that to Heritage. But in order to sell on Gab, I'll put stuff that I don't have to sell. And so I'll put a little bit higher price. And if you buy it, you buy it. If not, it'll go back in, and I could send off the stuff that wouldn't sell on Heritage on CAF to Heritage, right? So it's just there's two different markets really, right? And so
you're getting a little compliment from Rick. The Rickster bought a piece from you earlier this year, and you're a pleasure to deal with.
Appreciate it, Rick, and appreciate you helping me with buying that piece.
Was Rick a good buyer?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Rick's a great guy. I mean, I've never met Rick, but just seeing him in a lot of the shows, and just enthusiastic, kind, like there's a lot of you can be a dickhead in online, if you want to be, and so
like a certain someone
nowhere near that.
Yeah. Okay, so excellent, guys. Why don't we let Jason take a few moments, so before we close out, tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel. It's called Comic Art Channel. So if you Google that right here on YouTube, everybody, you should be able to find it. I believe it comes up in the search results. So,
Comic Art Channel.
Easy to remember. What's it about? Yeah.
I just created it just because I like reading comics and I like art, and I would love for older collectors to read comics, because there's so many great comics these days. It's just like unlimited, right? And when you talk about golden age of comics, I mean, I can't imagine another period in time where there were so many great comics coming out. So I would love to introduce art collectors that maybe have gone away from reading to new books that are great, where it's just easier to, okay, this looks interesting, let me pick it up, and then also, people that maybe find the channel through comics to learn about art, because sometimes you don't know until it slaps you in the face, and so that's why I made the channel. Just two of my big interests, and hopefully try to share with people. Just pumping the stuff I like, really is what it comes down to, and it makes it easier to do that, so, and then, I can have my boy, Yo Curry on to just, talk some art, and some other people to talk some art, and, it's what we love to do anyway, that's why, your channel, Bill's channel, just everyone, loves getting on there and talking, because we all know how crazy this hobby is, and how just insanely, addictive, and just, I mean, the craziest hobby I could imagine.
Yeah. And I want to point out, because Jason himself didn't mention it, got to point out that unlike my channel, where everything is live streamed, his is the opposite. It's all pre-recorded. The nice thing, I guess it depends how you look at it. But you guys know I'm always, struggling with the length of the show. Oh my God, whatever. But you also know I don't care that it goes long. I just feel bad for the people who have to drop out, whatever, and they can't watch the whole thing. But Jason's content is all pre-recorded, and not all of it, but the majority of it is relatively short. So he'll do like 15 to 30 minute videos, let's say. And so very easily digestible. Unlike, of course, I understand my stuff is 2 hours, 45 minutes usually. And so obviously I understand why it's harder to digest, and people only can tune in for a little while, whatever. But you can check out Jason's content, and like I said, it's easy to digest because it's pretty brief stuff. And the nice thing, just like on my channel, when you're watching on Rewind, you can always fast forward to the bits that you're not as interested in, and then stop it, and okay, let's see what he's talking about now. What's he showing now? And very convenient, and it's a lot of fun. It's
hey, morning coffee, just put it on 1.5x speed, and by the end of your coffee you will have finished an episode and maybe learned about a new comic, or a comic I like, and so
yes,
I mean, if you come check it out, I appreciate it,
Yeah, and
Thanks for
consider
having me on.
subscribing if you like it. If you like it, subscribe. Listen, I'm the only guy on YouTube who says don't subscribe if you don't like it or if you don't plan on coming back. So for Jason's sake, I'll say subscribe, please subscribe. Whatever you think about it, subscribe if you want to subscribe. Get all the subscribers he can.
I will be judging Ruben's pumpability over the next week.
Hey, I can tell you right now, I have no shame in telling you that from the show 2 weeks ago till tonight, so it's been literally 2 weeks, so 2 shows, my number have not gone up. I'm at 412 2 weeks ago. I checked one day, it dropped on the same day. 2 people dropped out, so I was at 410. And then 2 other people came back. And so after 2 weeks, I'm basically net even, no gain at 412. So don't look at me to pump up your subscribers. Like, if they're not even subscribing to me, I don't know how they're going to subscribe to you. But if you do hate the fact that my stuff is very long and you prefer much shorter stuff, then you should subscribe to Jason's stuff because his shit is way, way shorter than mine. But like Marcus says, the auction review ones are longer. That's why I said, Marcus, most of his stuff is shorter because I was referring to, I was making an exception for those the auction reviews. But even those are about an hour and a half or so, and they go.
Yeah, I definitely try to keep it under 2 hours. Usually, Yo and I are recording like late for me, which is real late for him, and so try to keep it like hour and a half. We target, and yeah, I mean. Those tend to be more popular with the art crowd, Yeah.
Like many YouTubers have learned, YouTube hates you. Thank you. By Stanley. Oh, did you leave? Oh yes, Stanley is begging me to set a record time. No, we're gonna wrap it up now. To let Jason get back to the family. Back just before the end. Oh, Carl, we're gonna be leaving now, actually. But thank you. I appreciate it. Ilya also came in very late. Use the American to US dollar conversion rate. You'll be, yeah, right. I'll be at over 500. Yeah, nice one. Thanks, guys. And just to let you guys know that next week, I'm going to be hanging out with Fred Chamberlain. Let me just quickly show you the graphic here. So you guys may know Fred either from CAF or, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, he was also in Comic Art Live as a guest, but I figure it's been long enough. You guys don't remember anything he said. So I figured, why not have him on? And it'll seem like it's all brand new information to you guys anyways. And as weird as it is, as I always say, I often when I go long on a show, like super long, and we're wrapping up, suddenly I look at the viewers. I'm like, what the hell just happened? I just gained 7 or 8 viewers in the last 2 minutes. Like we're wrapping up and now everybody's starting to come back. Like what's happening? But anyways, I appreciate all of you. As always, thanks very much, especially as I always say, it's all our show. This channel is for all of us. It's a place to hang out every week. And you guys in the chat really make it what it is for me, certainly. It's a lot of fun. Even though, of course, I always have to appreciate it and thank all my friends who decide to come on. So, Jason, of course, thank you so much for doing this. I really, really appreciate it.
No, thanks, Ruben. And thanks to everyone for supporting and engaging and all that. So hit me up on CAF if you ever want to talk. You can message me anytime. And
friendly guy, as you guys all know. As you've seen, he's very, very friendly. And you can always reach out and don't forget to use the link just to even at least check out the gallery and you get a better look out of the pieces we showed tonight. Some of them deserve closer looks, literally because of the detail. Deserve much closer looks. So yeah, please consider doing that. I guess that's it, guys. Thank you again. Happy Easter, Maki Pupu. Yes, thank you. And I guess that's it. We will please remember to tune into Nikki B's show on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, where he's going to have that Amazing Spider-Man by Ramita Jr. and Scott Hanna available up for grabs. I don't know if it's offer or claim, he didn't mention, but tune in and check it out. And then after that, come back and see me here with Fred Chamberlain on next Sunday. If there's anything else, Yeah, no, I guess we're good for tonight. Thank you, Jason. Hey, Jason, by the way, I know you got to go. Can you give me a minute or two?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So that's it, guys. We will see you. Thank you. Gonna watch. Okay, thanks, Carl. I appreciate it. Jeff, thanks again for coming in again and actually saying hello and letting me know it was you. Really appreciate that. Stanley's telling you keep up the great content.
Thanks, Stanley. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Stevie B. Really appreciate it. Cheers to you, Murdoch. Really appreciate you as well as always, man. Yeah, thank you, Mike Snitzer. Also, thank you so much. So that's it, guys. Thanks you. Thanks again to my wonderful guest, Jason, and we will see you next week. That's it. Peace.